Hello, hello, good evening, everybody. I am your androgynous AI game show host from the future, Caster.
And I am your amazing agender avian co-host, Ravi the Owl.
And this is the Neon Caster Twitch channel. Good evening, everybody. What up?
Oh, chair now. Man, that bundle we did must have done well.
Yes. We have I recently redid the decor of this page. Partially because, I used a little bit of AI art before it became a whole thing in doing the background and was like, I should probably change that. So this is from Windows Movie Maker 3D, the backdrop, which I adore. It's such a good backdrop.
That's such it. I love the crunchy ass dithering on this. Just in the shape of that couch, looking like a fucking diner from the 70s.
Yeah, I kind of want to. We're going to talk about this because the talking about the past and the future is definitely the energy. A redesign is on the cards for the channel for a handful of reasons, and one of the things was like, I want a background that feels like I'm casting from a room, in the same way that my operator can obviously have a room behind them when they are on webcam because the room exists. And I'm like, ooh, what would be a good way of doing that? I know a bunch of friends who are still like hella into The Sims. Could I get them to like design a bedroom for me and then take a camera angle shot? Would that be sick, or would that be like plagiarism? I don't know. But
that feels entire. That doesn't feel like plagiarism or anything. I mean, listen, I don't think
would H-Bomber Guy make a video about
people went there, of course. Now, I will say what could be very funny, like looking at the background, the fidelity of this. Do exactly as you said in The Sims 1.
Oh, unfortunately, you don't get camera angles in The Sims 1. It's locked isometric.
Of course, no,
Sims
that makes
2
sense.
doable, but yeah, sadly. I had every expansion from The Sims 1 back in the day. I was into that shit. There was an expansion where you could go on holiday and it unlocked like a snowboard ramp, trick ramp, and I was just all about it. And there was a wizard dueling platform that you could get in the Making Magic expansion. The music from those games was also sick. Sims 1 was a bop. It was a good fucking time. Never got into any of the other Sims games after that. But Sims 1 was great. Hi Sam, good evening.
Hey, Sam. My Sims experience was finding the Sims 1 box in my basement that my dad must have. You'll bet your fucking bottom dollar I'm bringing Nyx. You know I'm bringing it. I ain't even playing KG with that shit. I am excited. I'm excited to talk about it. But like any good occasion, it must, we got to build up to it.
Yeah. No, we have. Sorry, you go and you were mid thought of what your Sims experience was.
Yes. Never played it. Just found the box in my dad's. In my basement among a bunch of his stuff, and was told that when I found it, I was too young to play it, and by the time I was old enough to play it, or I was deemed old enough to play it, the computers had moved on, and this thing ran on like Windows 95 or 98, and I don't know if it would have run, but never. So I've never actually played a Sims game.
No, I mean, they're all kind of neat in their own way. I definitely enjoyed it as an interior design simulator more than trying to play it as like a soap opera simulator, which is also good. I definitely get the people that like play it as like, oh, this is basically getting to watch fucking Keeping Up with the Kardashians built as I want, where vampires exist. But no, it's definitely the interior design that took me. Anyway, what we're about today, what we're going to be getting up to today, as you can see above, we are going to be. We were having a discussion about what to do in the transitional period before our next Let's Play. which is I think still on the cards to be Mega Man Battle Network 6. But I was like, oh yeah, we both, well, started our histories of starting tabletop games and stuff were pretty different from each other. But we have some early tabletop stuff that we've done that we still have like the digital receipts for, and that would be fun to show. But my kind of, I guess, creative history started before I got into tabletop RPGs. So I have a bit of a melange for you today. Not just tabletop RPGs, but I also have some of my first visual novels that I made.
I'm excited for this.
And I guess we're doing this this isn't in chronological order. Should I do this in chronological order? I queued up something, but actually we should probably start in chronological order. That maybe makes the most sense, right?
I feel like maybe reverse chronological order might be fun, to just go from, a little bit of like going from best to worst.
You know what? I'm overthinking it. We're just showing fun stuff that we've done. It's fine.
Exactly.
We should probably end on the visual novels anyway, and those are the things I technically made last. But yeah, there is character sheets. There are tabletop RPGs. There are Sprite webcomics in store. Do you remember those? Do you remember fucking 8-bit theater?
The halcyon days, when you could just go to the Spriters resource and browse through like so many different sheets and be like, yeah, this true. I am the Jim Davis of my generation.
I used to be an admin on the Spriters resource, and was very good friends with the owner, because we lived in the same country, so it was possible for me to visit him. The reason I can talk about this candidly, because in a way it's quite funny. Over time, because the way that people interact with like message boards and stuff changed, in my teens I became a viewer of Something Awful, because that's where all the early Let's Plays were, before Let's Plays were like a YouTube thing, right? Mm-hmm. And their forum culture is very different, because they are very willing to ban people, and did a thing where because the mods and admins are ego trips and nobody can really tell them no, and it's the culture, would give people challenges to prevent them from being banned. Like, oh, do you want to not be banned? Well, go and do this thing, and if we see photographic evidence of you doing this thing, then we won't ban you. And there was like in the off-topic message board, I think, a debate about like character design stuff, and I cannot remember the position that this guy took, but he was very anti-Bayonetta as a thing.
Boo.
Yeah, boo. And it was getting heated, and he was getting pretty heated about it. And I was like, hey, you know what? If you're going to be this aggro, I'm going to put you in timeout. But hey, I'm a benevolent god, because this is now the energy that I have gained from having been on Something Awful for a couple years by that point.
What, you mean the place where the users are known as goons would have questionable energy?
Go take some struts in your mom's heels and enjoy the energy of that. And Daz, the guy who runs Something Awful, runs the Spriters resource, was saying, you can't do that. That is an abuse of your power. And I was like, fuck you, man, I quit. No. I got told, because it was such an aggro situation on both sides, and I felt so embarrassed about letting it get heated in a way that made people kind of like respect me less, and I was like, I have to step away from this. I'm too ashamed to stay here. I got too egoistic. I got my feelings hurt from acting in an appropriate manner, and instead of owning up to it and acting like a grown-ass adult, because I was like 19 at the time and not a grown-ass adult, I ran away from my problems.
I mean, it's like kind of running away from your problems, but it's also just kind of going like, I can never come back from this. This is I've reached the nadir of my life. Just walking away with such drama, such like I can feel the shame, all of the negative emotions are so palpable. I'm just like, oh buddy, you just power tripped on a forum. It's not that real.
It's not that deep. I know.
Exactly.
God. And like also I was like helping to upload stuff to the sounds resource at the time. Because hey, I'm Grooveman, or at the time was grooveman.exe, so it made sense that I would be in charge of the music stuff. But it was a lot of organizational and admin for not being paid. And my brain, even then, as it turns out, is not great at like regular scheduled dabblings with spreadsheets, so I fell behind a lot, and I was like, this is not work for me. So for many reasons I stopped doing it, but I do feel bad about running away. They were good people, but every so often I run into somebody who is an old head from then, and that's really nice. Like one of the people who was a regular pixel artist was one of the is I would say now one of the main pixel artists for Mother 4, now called Odyssey.
Oh shit! Wait, Mother. What is
so
Mother 4 real?
there was like a fan project that was just called Mother 4.
I see.
And they were like, well, we can't do that. But we do want to make this game real because we've been working on this game for years and years and years as like a fan project. So it's now called like Odyssey now. And he's like a pixel artist on that. And messaged me the other year being kind of like, hey, I remember you. And like, that's so sweet. I'm glad you're around. When I was in Finland last year, doing as a guest of honor, like I haven't talked about that shit enough, and I decided to try and go to some of the panels because hey, you know, convention, I should try and go to as many panels as I can and involve myself in the culture of it. I do not understand a word that you're saying, but I understand that you are very passionate about the genre of space westerns, and at the time I was writing a scenario for Orbital Blues, so actually sitting on that panel was useful to me. Anyway, one panel is what I gathered was like my journey on learning to rip 3D models from games and then 3D print them. And I'm like, that's fascinating and relevant to my interests.
Hell yeah.
And the way that he did the panel was so picture and meme heavy. Like he used a meme to explain each idea, and because I knew what pixel art was and how and how like sprite ripping worked, I was able to follow along, even though I didn't speak a lick of Finnish. It was great.
The universal language.
Yeah, and then apparently, because like you know, I didn't get to have a proper conversation with him, but I sat and enjoyed the entire thing, and I'm a very unfamiliar face and like one of the very few black people in the room. There are not that many black people in Finland, and an English speaker. And clearly the guy who ran the panel, like, mentioned it, I think, on the Sprite as resource or whatever. And then Daz, I think the admin, was like, was that Nathan? And so then we had a pint later that weekend with being like, yeah. No, I used to be an old head for this message board and Sprite community. So it's a small fucking world with this kind of thing. You know, the nostalgia still lives on in us fucking internet boomers.
Man, there were so many of those communities that I interacted with from afar when I was young. Like, you know, Sprite is a resource. I went there for the resources. I didn't interact with the community. I'm trying to think of other examples, but like the fucking Metroid Prime speedrunning communities and all of that. Like I would just pour through all of the things that they had written and all of the videos they had up, but I wouldn't you know, participate in the forums or anything like that. So there's so many of these things where I'm like, oh, I was there, sort of. And I'm really glad, you know, you had something that you were knee deep into in a meaningful way that still helps you, still lets you connect with people. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. This is all to say that, hey, did you enjoy those embarrassing stories about my internet childhood? Because there'll be more as we go through these things. Kicking up first, this is not the first character sheet I ever did, but it is the second. I have talked... Is this fucking mind maze like in Carter?
This is old school RuneScape music.
Okay.
It felt appropriate. Also, would you like to screen share with me so I can see this?
Yes, I can absolutely do that. We'll be screen sharing across a handful of different things because these are all in different mediums, but
Yes, Oliver. Okay. Oh shit, that's right. I was expecting like a medieval fantasy for some reason, so now I'm like, oh man, how do I? Oh shit. What? What fucking Shadow the Hedgehog song do I throw on?
But then, I mean, hey, if you want to give me fucking... Okay, yeah. So, this guy, good God. I have mentioned a handful of times that my first tabletop RPG was GURPS. If you do not know what GURPS is, GURPS stands for Generic Universal Role-Playing System. And its whole gimmick is that it has rules for everything. And all the rules come in like different splat books for different genres. So if you want to do a car chase, you can get GURPS action or whatever and find the car chase rules and run them. It is what you would call a simulationist system in the idea of that because there is a rule for everything, it's very much encouraged that you would... There is none of that powered by the apocalypse energy. There is no anything that you can do you can do anything in the game, and as a result, there should be a rule for this thing that you're trying to do. And it means there's a lot of fucking paperwork and number crunching involved, and it's a terrible system to learn to get into tabletop RPGs with.
Yeah, that is unfortunate.
The GM of which, John, I love John dearly as a person who got me into tabletop RPGs. I will not be the person that I would be today and doing the things that I do today if not for him inviting me to his very nice and very expensive home and playing tabletop RPGs with him. He is still, now, I kind of got back in touch with him again, a hardcore simulationist when it comes to tabletop RPGs. And this extends to all tabletop games in general. He doesn't understand or like the idea of casual formats of Magic the Gathering, because then you have to have a discussion about power level, where really everybody should be going for the optimal build of whatever you can make. Why would you have a discussion about lowering the difficulty of your deck for the sake of fun? That doesn't compute. He's a very specific person. He was also the person that introduced me to Scene, the single died bang, mindless self-indulgence, emo and scene music kind of energy. He was that kid. Love him dearly.
Lord.
So maybe it is of no surprise. He was a player in this one, actually, not the GM. The GM was a different person in this particular friendship group, but he GM'd the first one. And that was like a cyberpunk thing. It used a bunch of setting stuff from the actual cyberpunk rules set. I made a street ganger on rollerblades, motorized rollerblades, who was part of a gang called the Doganzaka Rollers. He was basically just a Jet Set Radio character. But because of, the guy running it and the nature of GURPS as a thing, the character was specifically a drug addict, which is, you know, cool and good.
Oh my god, the tone swerve on that.
Yeah. A thing to there's a thing to explain, but we'll get into it as we go. So here is Oliver R. Anselm, who is this pretty boy covered in blood with heterochromia. He has so your ability points in GURPS. You have these long lists of things that you can get to add to your character, and each of them has like a point cost. It's a point-buy system. And you don't get that many points at character start for abilities, but what you can do is take disadvantages that are worth negative points to essentially expand your capacity. So the more negative things you take about yourself, the more points you have for taking broken things. So this guy is handsome. He could enter beauty contests. He has, for some bizarre reason, this is even better, actually. Yeah, the Danganronpa music is very appropriate. For some reason, because this is kind of like a techno-magical setting, has the ability to walk on walls and ceilings.
I mean, it's like, I can see that being kind of cool, but, and like, you know, ooh, well, aren't I a spooky twink, and I'm just going to stand on the ceiling and go, isn't that too bad, as blood drips from my hand down to the floor.
Granted, I think I used it for problem solving more than anything else. But yeah, I do not know why I gave this person clinging.
Can you do me a favor and scroll back up? Because I really like the sheer number of things here. I love basic lift equals 16 pounds.
Oh yeah.
Like,
it was probably the default. I did not build this character for strength. His strength 10 is, I think, the lowest number you can have without intentionally going into like debuffs to strength. But
I just love the granularity of having age and basic lift, like not just all of these stats and all of that, but just it's so charming to me.
It's just so granular, and you need all of this apparently to play this game. I do not remember how we use any of these stats. I don't even remember what dice GURPS uses. Actually, I think it's a D6 system. But yeah. We have infravision because the right eye is cybernetic. Lets you see, has heat vision, does not let you distinguish colors. I have third level magery, which means that beyond just magical awareness, I have the ability to cast spells. And it affects my IQ level or whatever. Do I have IQ? Oh, I have an intelligence stat. I don't know if that's supposed to be like me shortcutting that information, or whether IQ is actually a stat that's in this game that I did not write down.
I love how you can date a game by whether IQ is like a relevant number.
Yeah, that people actually care about for real. I am incurious. So these are the disadvantages that I took that added to my pool to be able to take. Clearly, I took most of these as spoilers, hiding that one very briefly. Clearly, I took these debuffs, so I had the capacity to take more levels in magic. But incurious, hardly ever notice things unrelated to the business at hand. Colorblindness, explaining the heterochromia. And
incurious is before you move on. Incurious is such a weird idea for a disadvantage of just like. I mean, like I kind of get it, but the way that it just kind of reads as like you're going to just play less of the game.
Oh yeah. You know, GURPS and other simulationist games are built. They are very friendly to people doing hyper-specific builds where they're good at very certain things. And if you want to play Throg the Barbarian, who is very good at swinging an axe and does like 50 guaranteed damage every time you swing, whether or not you hit, you don't care about being able to see the environment or talk to people. You know, you can take the ugly disadvantage, so your social roles are at heavy disadvantage, and you're like, well, I'll just never speak to a person. This is fine because I get to roll 50 damage every time I swing my axe. Then GURPS, I want to say stop short of encourages this behavior, but it is entirely apathetic to this behavior.
I'm enjoying the idea of like, oh yeah, I want to play Throg the Barbarian. I've gone through and looked at all of these different splat books. So Throg has 7 disabilities. They are unable to use computers, unfamiliar with technology, bad with phones, and
My brother in Crisis is a high fantasy setting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's your point?
Yeah, I guess there is obviously GM fiat in that kind of thing, but when you say disabilities, oh yes, GURPS and other games in this era are hella into letting you take quite serious real world disabilities just because it would give you like character point expansions. And I hate it. I'm glad that I stuck within a line. Disadvantages. Yes, heterosexuality. Yes. You know, it would be a shitpost of I'm not into shitpost TTRPGs really. I get them as jokes, but I'm like, well, I would never play this. But I like the idea of like, oh man, you know, queerness is a hypertext tabletop RPG. Heterosexuality is a disadvantage. Disadvantage, you are willing to wear beige.
Disadvantage, unbothered by wearing graphic tees and cargo shorts.
You have the Legend of Zelda green with the yellow Triforce tee. Yeah.
That just means you're trans. But you don't know it.
I was going to say foreshortening, forewarning,
foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing, thank you. I mean, bisexuality is mechanically heavily encouraged in Monster Hearts. Yes, this is true. There are many tabletop RPGs that exist where queerness is specifically a mechanic. I am neutral on those. I think back in the day where it was a concept I was not aware of, I'm like, ooh, this is fun, fresh, and exciting. But currently I'm like, this isn't a thing that I personally would be into. Thirsty Sword Lesbians mechanically is very thin on the ground if you don't care about like role-playing lesbian romance. And I do, you know, I've played tabletop RPGs with you, Rafi. You know I am down to roleplay a lesbian romance, but I don't need the game to like hold a gun to my head and be like, do it. Anyway.
Speaking of holding a gun to someone's head, what's that third one on the list?
Yeah, sadism, which I'll just read the passage of directly. You were down to roleplay lesbian romance? News to me. Oh yes. We were also Sam and I. Oh no, I've forgotten the name of Sam's character in Black Tide, but it was Ali.
I think it was Ali.
Yeah. My character Cirrus and Ali kind of ended where I think I kicked down the door with steel-toed boots. And Ali was like, that's my girlfriend. So, yes, we never came up with the ship name. But yeah, sadism, you delight in cruelty, mental, physical, or both. This is what the book says. These passages is copied directly from the book. Make a self-control roll whenever you have the opportunity to indulge your desires. No, you shouldn't. Example, because the prisoner is one who should be released unharmed. If you fail, you cannot restrain yourself. Those who become aware of your problem react at -3, unless they are from a culture that holds life in little esteem. So specific, so weird. So weird. The fact that
or social brutality trick. Yeah.
The fact that mechanically, in a general like murder hobo campaign, which again, this system does not dissuade you from doing, the negative side effect of this does not matter. And yet, it is one of the biggest boosts to my point maximum. Strange.
It it does kind of make you think that they may have wanted to encourage people to be playing as these extreme edgelords, only for the GM to. I don't know. Like looking at these, I'm like, what is the use case here for like? Incurious just kind of seems like you're playing less of the game. I can imagine maybe there is tension of like, ooh, I the player really wish I got to find out what that was, but I can't. Mm-hmm. But also, GMs generally don't put things in that as just like a no, actually I wanted you to not learn this thing.
I mean, there is a comedy, to be fair to it, there is if this was like a comedy game, if we were playing like Inspectors or something, where you're like, it's like a Ghostbusters parody game, and this was like an ability in that, I could see it being framed in a way like you walk into a room and the ceiling is like dripping with goo, and we see the little old lady who gave us this request like hanging upside down and cackling, and my character goes, well, I guess we've got to catch her then. Is like, and the mechanic that prompts you to specifically act in that way is good and cool, but you don't need to give it like a fucking stat effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, color blindness is also one where I'm like, man, you're really kind of going like, I'm getting 10 points, and now the GM needs to like quickly figure out, okay, at some point in this campaign, I gotta find some fucking part where it's like, oh man,
where it matters. Yeah.
All they said was drink the red juice, and all of my allies just happen to not be around me, so I can't just ask.
To answer your quick query about the use case of this ability never came up. This was just free points. What? This was just free points. I love to have free points. Moving on from that as well, Callous. You are merciless, if not cruel. The fact that this is separate from sadism is also quite funny. You can decipher other emotions, but you only do so to manipulate. You don't care about their feelings or pain. This gives you -3 in all teaching roles, psychology roles made to help others, and on any skill roll to interact with those who have suffered the consequences of your callousness. Again, so specific, but this is a game where the philosophy is, if there is something interesting your character can do, there needs to be a mechanical effect about it. That's like the thesis statement of GURPS as a whole. And then miserliness, where you're like, hey, you want to obtain money or whatever. Cool. The stats, my skills that I set in are actually all pretty straightforward, to be honest.
Wait, miserliness is at a minus. That's just how people play these games. Okay. It's funny to me that we're going over this character sheet. Like, I was expecting this to be kind of like roasting our past selves a little bit, and I'm more just like, what the fuck is this game?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to show this as column A and column B, actually, I think.
Yeah. No, that's entirely fair.
I think the skill lists, I do appreciate how broad and weird the skills can be in GURPS, because this is an everything game. One of the things, have you ever played Troika?
No, never.
I like Troika a lot. I should run it for you at some point. But instead of having like characters you generate, you have backgrounds that set a handful of things about the nature of your character and their history, and sometimes about their physiological composition. And there are a handful of pretty obvious skills that characters can have, like run, swim, and climb, swords, if they use swords, so you can make the sword roll and all that. But sometimes a background will have an intentionally really weird skill. There is like one in the it's the background in the core book I don't like, so it sits in my head a lot. But there is one background called the Befouler of Ponds, and the entire joke is that this character gets its special abilities. I don't even think it's necessarily a special ability. I think it's just an obsession that the character has, is that character likes to piss in ponds. That's it. That's like the entire joke. And you randomly roll for these, so there's a random chance that you just get Befouler of Ponds as your background. And so you have an incredibly high skill in pond pissing. And this is a game where you could very much intentionally say that, hey, I want my high tier skill to be pond pissing, and then be like, okay.
Oh man, I do enjoy the way that having such a specific skill with no obvious use to it really does invite elaboration about the character. Like, they didn't get good at this because they needed to, probably, or like, so they must have gotten good at this because they wanted to, unless it was because they needed to, in which case, what?
Yeah, because like, I don't know why I put cooking. I mean, this put together, especially tied with connoisseur literature, this character's a librarian, so that kind of sits in that kind of space. But this is, considering I had never watched like Hannibal or Dexter, I don't even think those shows existed when I built this character archetype definitely fits in that world, in that kind of way. This is not, this character is very funny to me. In the grand scheme of things, I could definitely see this character appearing as an NPC in other works. I don't think I would play this character without having a very firm conversation with my GM about it, but like, I don't hate it. Anyway.
I do at some point want to know where you got the character art from.
Oh God, is this the main character of Peril? So there is a magic gun involved, Sam, don't joke. Yeah, the magic of this. The character art. In the same way that like Something Awful and whatever were kind of part of my internet over, 4chan was part of my internet over at the time, which definitely had some negative effects on my psyche. But their tabletop games message board, TG, genuinely useful. They regularly had threads of like character art share. So, you know, you'd be kind of like, hey, I want a character. Does anybody have character art that's XYZ? And people would just kind of pick through their folders and post art to fulfill those requests. And I think this character art was from that. So I do not remember the original artist at all, but it was definitely from that kind of those. I had maintained a very large collection of various artworks from that. I think I still have it in this kind of really old portable hard drive I have with me that I've kind of cracked open for this stream. But yeah, definitely that energy. But yes, magic.
Yes.
So in high school, I did take Latin. We had... Yeah, no. This is fine. I'll skip over a finer detail because there's a triggering topic involved. But we had a teacher who was beloved by the entire school, who taught classics, which is like teaching about Greco-Roman history. And then by the time you get to a point where you can start taking modern foreign language classes, so you had the option of doing French, German, Spanish, and then the school also offered Latin. And a lot of people took Latin because they really enjoyed the classics classes and really liked the teacher. As was I. I did that because I'm an idiot. And unfortunately that teacher was fired and replaced with a very competent but considerably less fun teacher. I was okay at language learning, but the French teacher at the time was the kind of person where the answer that you gave was either 100% correct or 100% incorrect. So if you have partially mistranslated a sentence, you would not get marks for it.
Man.
And that sat in my brain. So when I was doing the Latin, tests, which are genuinely really hard, and you are not expected to perfectly translate all sentences. If I got 80% of the way through a sentence but didn't have the full answer, I'd be like, well, I've just got this one wrong then, so I guess I'm done here. And so I didn't do very well with Latin at all at the end of it. but I still had enough knocking around in my head where I knew the places to kind of research information and kind of get the grammar right. I don't think the grammar is right on any of these. I decided that I wanted my character to specifically give incantations for doing magic because that's anime and cool. So all of these spells, I specifically... Oh, it's because I was also reading a manga at the time, Negima, Magic Magister Negima, written by Ken Akamatsu, who did like harem manga previously. That's what he was known for. And then he really wanted to do a shonen battle manga, and his publishers were like, why? We want you to do a harem manga. What you on about? So what he did was a 12-year-old from Wales called Negima goes to a magic school in Japan to teach as a high school teacher, and then gets involved in teaching his high school class of 30 students, all girls, about magic. And then the narrative ends with them going to Mars to do a wizard kung fu tournament.
What?
It kind of slaps though. It's a good it's very of its time, but if you like that kind of schlocky stuff, it's genuinely a good manga. But they did a lot of specifically highlighting that every character had a different understanding of magic, which changed their martial arts style, but also how they incanted all of it. So the Russian character did all of their spells in Russian with a little translator note, and I was like, that's cool. I want this character to speak Latin and then have Latin spells. So each of these has like a kind of prefix and then what the spell is for all of them. I don't remember what the translations of all of these are. It's been too long. But I like the fact that it's like, you know, I specifically took a bunch of spells that were all tied to like the sadist nature, like the
I was gonna say real fucking edgy looking
specifically
spells.
Designed to kind of like distract all of the I think these are supposed to be kind of like physical spell and mental spell, because there's Vinificus Somes and Vinificus Mens. But I just like the fact that I spent an entire time to kind of like specifically
That's very fun.
And I put a side note for myself. Yeah. I don't think this is notes from the book. This is me putting this note in for myself and I guess for my GM. All spells are cast via verbal recital of magic preparation phase, which is used for all spells, and a specific clause that will cast the intended spell, which I guess is the Vinificus Mens part. Chanting the spell clause without the prep phase will do nothing. Chanting the prep phase without a spell clause will do nothing directly, but gives actions and objects the ability for magical effects. Interacting with the magical objects in the prep phase cast may have unforeseen effects. The preparation Olivier has learned is ego advocus super substantia orbis terrarum seho mihi vox, a call upon the energy of the earth to grant me power. However, other prep phases and more powerful ones exist. I don't like doing character backstory paragraphs on my character sheets now. So the fact that I have put in a piece of world lore entirely separate to whatever the fuck my GM has decided, and just been like, this is true, actually.
Not to throw a load of shade at your old GM, but I would bet every dollar to my name that none of these details were brought up by the GM at any point.
Probably not me either, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
This is probably a phrase that I put, you know, because this is a character that I generated entirely separate to the other people generating their characters, or a discussion with the GM about the setting, because this is back in the day where that shit didn't happen. It's just like, this is a cyberpunk game, make a cyberpunk character. I'll look at it to make sure that your character isn't broken, and then you play the character, and that's it, you know? This was all done entirely separately to people's feelings about that shit.
Sure, no, that makes sense.
It keeps going.
Okay.
These character sheets are long. The fact that I made a spellcaster means that there's an entire page of just spells that my character knows with surprisingly detailed, like fucking, I'm only now looking at this entire paragraph for like the pain spell or whatever talks about, like, you know, if people have the high pain threshold ability and shit like that. It's like, who cares? Who cares? Yeah, I have Enchanted Magnum Revolver Veniorda, an expensive suit, an ancient grimoire in a messenger bag. And yes, okay, give me your edgiest fucking gems to read for me to read this bio.
Oh man,
it's moody, you know. This is maybe a noir or a kind of like, I don't think this is like a fucking Hypnospace Outlaw Seepage Zane. It's not that. I don't think. I think this is more emo than that.
Oh man, the thing that really makes me sad is that I know it would be perfect to put on for this, and I cannot because the copyright boss would get us. I have some Death Note music extended. That would be
man,
so good.
yeah. This is also the era where I definitely was into Death Note, and I think that has an effect on what this character is for
clearly. Sure. Okay, let's see. I'm just gonna check what I have filed under horror. Oh, but you know, you're looking for noir. Yeah, let's see how this feels.
Oliver is for all intents and purposes a librarian. Although you'd be unlikely to find a public library in the modern urban wasteland, there are a few oddballs like Oliver who have a strange little obsession for hoarding books. Usually it's just the pulp fiction trash of yesteryear or the poorly written memoirs and plans for a two-bit laundry, but occasionally you find something good, something useful. And when the prospect of that is on the table, Oliver is all for going out and snapping it up. Often uncontested, there are occasions when the pursuit of knowledge gets ugly, and that's when the silly commoners that don't know any better end up with a magnum round or three lodged in their skull. Although it's more often, it's two in the arm, one in the leg, one in the crotch, and pleads for a bullet to the brain afterwards. The Magnum has been enchanted to pierce armor with deadly accuracy. Having read a lot of ancient texts in his time, particularly an ancient grimoire he obtained in a particularly bloody archive raid a year and a half ago, he's picked up some basic magical abilities. He tends to use it to exercise his sadism rather than for the betterment of mankind. He's born with heterochromia and severe colorblindness. The strength of his right eye continued to weaken over time until, out of fear of complete blindness, Oliver eventually replaced it with a cybernetic one, although he kept the eye color for aesthetics. The transplant hasn't affected his close-range clarity, so he can still read without reading glasses. Naturally, he's not a fan of picture books. And clipped.
I fucking hell. The sentence, where is it? It's the one. Okay, yeah. Often uncontested, there are occasions when the pursuit of knowledge gets ugly, which by itself is great, but we get a semicolon, it keeps going, and that's when the silly commoners that don't know any better.
The silly commoners! What the fuck?
I fucking love that.
I mean, it's clearly written in character voice, sort of. But
100%. But it sounds silly is a good word for it. But it keeps going. So we already started off good with the pursuit of knowledge gets ugly. Then we're semicolon. Sentence continues with about the silly commoners that don't know better end up with a magnum round or three lodged in their skull, which is incredible. But then we get another semicolon talking about how it's even worse and twisted and dark.
Oh my god.
And please for a bullet to the brain afterwards.
Like this guy, this character rules. This paragraph sucks so bad. If I put this as an NPC in the Blades in the Dark campaign, everybody would be like, fuck yeah, this guy sucks. Let's kill him. But as a PC that I played, why? Why did I do this? I don't think I role-played the sadism that much, or at least we didn't get into circumstances where it mattered too much, right? Like combat scenarios and stuff where I'm like, yeah, you know, I'll use all the pain spells and there are other people who can like land the kills, so it's fine. It's not really gonna like negatively affect our ability to do anything. But I don't think I ever went out of my way to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna torture this guy. Ooh.
Oh, just that cat you described, I'm gonna kick it.
Yeah. Because that's clearly, even though I wrote this character, it's just so not in my nature to do those actions. So this is just all bluster for zero actually role-playing any of this.
Oh man, that's so funny.
Fuck.
Very good first entry. Love this shit.
Yeah. This is a time. Goodness. Okay. Enough of that. What do we got? What do we want to do next from your archive, Rafi?
Oh man, do you think we go to Nyx or the Net Battlers?
We can do Nyx for sure.
Because Nyx, I mean, like, I want to spend a decent amount of time going over Nyx. I think there's plenty to milk from that.
Okay, well, we can do Net Battlers then. You linked me that. Let me go open it.
Nyx the Blazing Dragon. Yes, it's
just hi. Oh, so when I was saying previously we can do Nyx, I didn't mean like that, by the by. I'm so sorry. I'm a dinner and a movie first kind of gal, but
oh man, yeah, weird. So I wrote a tabletop RPG in middle school that I titled Nyx because, you know, it's like the Greek god of night.
So cool.
And this game is about stealth and thinking and cool stuff. So what's cooler than that? It sounds adult and serious, like this game.
So serious.
Shall we get into some fucking talking about Nyx? What fucking you know what? While you get that open,
we'll summon Nyx for you then. Sure. I assume the screen sharing has broken because I closed the window.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah. Because this is an entirely. Oh no! I have transformed. Give me a second. I have turned into a little man.
Oh, look at you!
I'm so tiny. Ah. There we go.
On your little seat. Oh, baby.
I have no idea what happened there. Okay. I'm very. I've been streaming for like 3 years, maybe almost 4. I should be able to do any of this.
Yeah, don't press the
turn into a little lad button. Yeah.
Yeah, this whatever happened to Big Bird just happened to you.
Okay, there we go. If I had a nickel for every time my name has made me confused about an ongoing conversation that involves the name Nyx, I'd have more nickels than I'd like to admit. Hey, a lot of fucking people play Persona 3.
So anyway, let's talk about that basketball team, the Knicks. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I was gonna do the joke and yell "fuck the Knicks," but we've already gone there, and we can't make that joke twice. Right. What jams do we have for your first tabletop RPG?
I think this was one of my inspirations at the time. I know I really enjoyed the game Deus Ex in middle school, so of course we're coming in with one of the most iconic jams from it, UNATCO. And listen. Would you like to take turns reading from this? Because I would love to hear you read some of this.
Oh, sure. I mean, just whenever there's a passage you want me to read, and tell me what energy I need to read it on. I'm a voice actor. You need to give me some voice direction.
Of course, you need direction. Well, I think this little opening thing. I keep in mind from like the opening section, the rules, both of those are really like a lot of the energy coming into this. So I guess important to preface, when I wrote Nyx, I had not played a tabletop RPG before. I had not read a tabletop RPG. I had read stories of people playing Dungeons and Dragons, and I understood you have strength, constitution, dexterity, intelligence, wisdom, charisma, elves, dwarves, etc., barbarians,
all that good shit.
Yeah, I understood the top level, broad stuff. What would end up on your character sheet? And I had some strong opinions at the time. I think these opinions will become obvious as we play, but I will be. There's a lot of commentary to provide on this. So one thing that's really fun also is that you'll see in the first 3 words is that I didn't really understand the distinction between a rulebook and a campaign. I guess because I was making this for play.
Yeah.
But I would say authoritative and smug are probably 2 good energies to bring into this.
Yeah.
And let's see, for a third descriptor, let's see. I think self-involved is not quite right, but very into what the author is putting down. The speaker is lost in their own sauce.
What saucy mixture this is. Okay. Good preamble.
Yeah, so I would say lacking self-awareness is probably the best way to put it. But yes, would you like to give us the opening?
This D&D campaign will be, in short, a sci-fi stealth/platforming campaign with a focus on problem solving. No, you did 1 damage. While you'll still fight, there'll be less damage based and more narrative based.
Oh my god, I somehow didn't even parse that I called it a D&D campaign, despite the fact that it's not Dungeons and Dragons.
The first hurdle. I mean, it's like you're calling a games console a Nintendo. It's fine.
It really is. And that I called it a stealth platforming campaign?
I mean, the idea of a platform with tabletop RPG is fucking wild to me.
You can tell that my real influences were video games.
Oh, yeah.
Man, and the whole saying, no, you did 1 damage in all caps, as if to say, now this is a phenomenon that plagues this fandom, this pastime, is people not describing their actions. People must describe their act. It's not about the numbers, it's about the narrative.
To say your grandma's dungeon? Yeah. So interestingly, the way that I read that is an interesting, misreading of an issue that does happen in tabletop RPGs, where a lot of games, recently Matt Colville raised $15 bajillion for his new tabletop RPG, MCDM, and one of its pitch points was you never have to roll to deal damage. That's guaranteed because it sucks to spend time waiting for your turn to then roll and miss, which I agree with. So it's interesting. It's no, you did 1 damage, and I'm like, oh. I'm reading that as a no. I read that as a kind of oh, you don't have to worry about missing, which would be oh, that's an excellent selling point.
If only this. My friend, this game holds the way rolls work in this game are insane, and is actually one of the last things we'll be going over, as that is the second to last in the table of contents, written in-game formulas.
Okay. But no, I need you. You know, you're a game master, and you've run Underground Broadcast, which is all about setting rules by the man. And you've put down some edicts here that clearly have some gravitas. So please do tell me the rules of this game.
Rule number 1: stay in character. If you're going to go OOC, put some brackets around that.
How do I do that in real life?
I don't understand the question, friend.
Oh, actually, a real thing that I have seen people do. Some people, because they either don't like or can't do character voices, will genuinely do a physical hand signal to signify that they are speaking out of character when they do things. So, not a terrible rule. A rule that people do actually follow.
I yeah, oh, Steam text chat, boy, that did not exist in the first draft. This was meant, I first played this over Skype text.
Hell yeah. I loved old school Skype. Skype before it went corporate fucking rules.
It's truly some of the cruftiest looking emoticons in the world. I gotta rip some of those and put them on my Discord servers. Okay, I'm going to, let's see, shift the jam to one of my other big inspirations. Let's see. Metroid Prime. It's kind of wild how much fantasy I put in this, in spite of the fact that I don't think
a space horror and a cyberpunk game are your main inspirations. Yeah,
exactly. Rule number 2: please take it seriously. Nobody wants you to be the guy who's lulzing so hard because Urkaur got owned.
Lulzing.
This truly says so. This said so much about the time.
Oh yes.
In history that this was written, and also who I thought I was playing with. The contempt for the people that I expected to play with is weirdly high here. Do not play the penguin. You leave that spork at home. Rule number 3. This is a rule. You must obey the rules. Think outside the box. Things aren't always as they seem. No, really. Yeah, I really, like, I guess I was really afraid players were going to interface with things in an extremely straightforward manner. I'll read the next 3, and then I would love your take on how this is coming off. Rule number 4: if you don't know if you can do something, try it.
Genuinely good rule. Love that rule.
Rule number 5, an equally good one: spelling, grammar, and punctuation are important. And rule number 6: take risks, get involved. There's no fun in playing it safe.
Again, good rule. So this is very funny to me because, I would, in a modern games writing environment, would put the rules as like, the dice math and things like that. But having the tenets up top, because I've also read modern tabletop RPGs. In fact, there's one that I'm working on at the moment that has a bunch of like tone and mindset prompts with which to approach the game in up top, because I know people find that useful. So in that way, this is fine. It's just what you're asking for is like absolutely wild to me. I was never in like a mud or a play-by-post or whatever where I think these tenets people would kind of take in stride a lot more.
One can hope. One can truly hope.
If there was a play-by-post and somebody was like, spelling, punctuation, and grammar are quite important for being able to convey what you're trying to say or you're role-playing, and people would be like, yeah, no, this makes sense. But the fact that it's kind of written like the 6 commandments like this is very funny to me.
Yeah, 12-year-old me is up for these stone-ass tablets.
And to be very slightly shady, I have read modern tabletop RPGs that is like the writers' poorly disguised annoyances about games they don't like, and so they will put like a list of tenets at the top about how their game is not those things, what they don't like. So, you know what? You're ahead of your time.
In fact, a visionary. Nick's Kickstarter coming 1 week. Thank you for the chick track quote, Sam. Next we have the stats. Strength is pretty straightforward. You love it. Though it is notable that it says that it affects the magnitude of most attacks, your ability to move things, and climb, jump, and swim checks.
Which people would sometimes put to dex.
hold that thought, keep that with you. When your strength reaches 0, you cannot move at all, you lie helpless on the ground. Okay. Constitution. The higher your constitution, the more hits your character can take. Higher the stamina. When your constitution reaches 0, you die.
Ooh, there's no health stat, just con.
Hold that in mind.
Okay.
Dexterity. Dexterity refers to how well you're able to manipulate items, such as pistols or computers. I did not fuck with the concept of dexterity, meaning like just, oh yeah, I can, I'm good with a bow and also I can do backflips. I thought that was stupid. I thought it pretty much means how good you are with your fingers.
I mean, fizz manipulation as a stat I do not hate. It is imbalanced against strength in this example, but I also like that the examples that you give are very good. It's when rules set the tone of a game without talking about the setting, a stat that lets you manipulate items, like specifically pistols or computers, genuinely gives a very clear indication of what a game would feel like, if that makes sense. Considering we're moving on to stuff like races, it's definitely going to be taking a hard swerve, but I don't object to that rule in itself.
Then we have intelligence, which is, pretty much what you would expect. You're good at computers, evading traps more deftly, actually. It's kind of weird. Evaluate situations better. Also, boost magical powers. That's right, this game has magic in it.
Alongside the guns and computers.
Note that dexterity did not say what happens when that reaches 0. Yeah, when your int hits 0, you are in a coma-like stupor. Now, remember how I said put that pin in your comment about strength? Agility! Your agility is how good you are at jumping, running, and other things like that. When that reaches 0, you cannot move at all.
Wait.
Yes, so that's right. I know what you're thinking. It's what everyone here is thinking. And yes, there is inexplicable blurriness between strength and agility.
Wait, that's great. Oh my god. It's like, yeah, this is a stat that I have seen games with dexterity and I've seen games with agility, and so this game needs to have both because it's the best one and needs all the stats. Yeah.
Oh, I had never seen a game that had stats at all differently than D&D's 6 core stats. I just thought dexterity, meaning you can backflip, is stupid. That should be separate. And also strength, I guess that makes sense that when you're strong, you probably have big muscles with which to run, and I'm not gonna rectify these two thoughts or reconcile them. And then charisma, which of course is nothing surprising there. It's funny to me how every single one of these that's like, oh, when this stat hits 0,
helpless.
You can't do anything except constitution is you die. Like, I don't think I needed to put that separately for each of them.
So, funny thing, D&D does actually work like that. There are very few abilities that will lower your ability score. It's usually like, big scary monsters that'll do stuff like start fucking with your constitution stat. But there is actually a rule that if any of your core stats go to 0, it kills you. So you're technically accurate to D&D by having that as a note.
Yeah, this may still be a D&D campaign.
We'll see. Again, to skip ahead, common names for humans.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Let's get into races. Oh, don't scroll down too far.
Okay,
I think you should just have one on screen at a time.
Fine.
So, human. You can choose one more ability. Sure. A human being, much like yourself, I say presumptuously. Common names. Every single race has 3 common names, one for men and one for women. And yeah, the 3 I picked were Alexander, William, and Michael.
William and Michael, pretty common names. Alexander.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why that one came to mind. And then for equally common names for women, Cassandra. Rachel and Samantha.
I mean, Samantha also pretty common. Rachel maybe less so, but yeah.
I think Rachel is probably from the name of a friend online that I had, who I knew through the official Nintendo Insider forums.
Ah, hell yeah. We're ready to move on to. I spoiled myself. I know that elves are imminent.
Let's get on to elves. Would you like to read the information for elf?
Oh, I do have to raise it up higher because our bodies are in the way.
No,
Sorry.
go for it. That's fine.
Human in appearance, but generally taller, leaner, and with pointy ears. Elves tend to be brighter and quicker than other races. Oh no. At the cost of stature. Wait, taller and leaner at the cost of stature. Stature in which direction? Which direction, Rafi?
I thought stature just meant like could also mean you are thin.
Right. Okay.
Not realizing that meant tall. Yeah, you very fairly went, oh no, at the yes, elves all look like fucking Adam Driver. No, it's
just
just
fucking oblongs of people they are.
Extremely fair of you to cast shade at the brighter and quicker than other races thing.
I mean, standard all the time.
Exactly.
But...
yeah. Also, hey, this really is a D&D campaign. Nix, I'm really glad you're enjoying this. This is truly one of my favorite things that I've ever written. And we are at like a 3 right now, and it goes to a 6 or 7 later. There are such truly funny things.
There is a full fucking paragraph that's like hurtling towards us at speed. I cannot wait. I mean, I'm glad that I'm represented here. There is cyborgs.
Well, I do want to note the common names for elves are Salix, Thelian, Cassim for men, and for women are Alina, Jessinai, and Taritha. I have no idea where I got these from. I do not know if these were taken from a fucking online generator or if I was just... I know for some of these I was just jamming together letters and, seeing what fucking came out.
I mean, Alina sounds like a very... there is cool shot. There's a Soul Calibur character named Alina. So I think you're probably... These aren't bad. These are reasonable D&D names, I think.
Would you like to read your namesake?
Yeah.
Not your namesake, but your representation.
A thing about no, I will highlight this first. Once we start getting to percentages of numbers, I'm like, oh no.
Yep.
In a manually done game, because I know that I've never really properly played a BioWare game. It's all about... There is one in Soul Calibur 6. Yeah! Fuck yeah! I'm a genius. I'm a genius.
I think you got that plus 15 intelligence.
As I understand, BioWare games are notorious for their, ability stats for being percentile, which is... it's a video game. It can do those calculations for you, but it also makes it a nightmare to actually understand the over-under of what an ability functionally does, because you, as a person, now have to do some maths against what your actual stat is to kind of understand what this is doing for you, so it sucks. BioWare released a Sonic the Hedgehog RPG, Sonic Chronicles, for the DS.
Ah, yes.
And all of its abilities are percentile, which is, for a game that is supposed to play like Paper Mario, wretched as a design decision.
Oh, bad.
You're playing with quite small numbers, so percentile means very little in whatever. So looking at the 25% resistance was like, oh, I know the energy of this. The result of mechanical parts combined with organic material. Props to you. That is what a cyborg is. Although they are very, very greatly in their appearances. They're cybronic?
I guess that's a word I can write.
Cybronic implants hinder speed. Fair enough.
Also, cyborgs don't have genders. To name Grim, Araj, and Sirius. The fact that I wrote in they get a 25% resistance to electricity-based attacks, very funny to me.
I mean, also
yeah, go ahead.
the idea of cyborgs being a race
Right?
is very good. I love this. I mean, again, there are probably tabletop RPGs out there where that is super a thing.
I just saw that cyborgs get a -17 charisma. No offense, but something fun. You know how a lot of cyberpunk games will make it so you choose either robots or magic. Well, nope, not in this one. Cyborgs get +15 intelligence, and which is used for magic. When writing this, did not understand that cyborg mages were the best kind of mage. And now we get to Fenra. Now it is time for me to pull things straight out of
like Fendrana Drifts. Like
yes, these are specifically based on a alien race from Metroid Prime Hunters. They're these like purple. Yeah. Oh man, these purple aliens that have like scythe arms that can basically turn into like a top with stick in a knife. It's very silly, but one of them was a playable character, and I was like, I think they're cool, and I'm gonna give them 2 extra arms. Fenra, -10 dexterity, plus 50%, no, -50% and resistance to energy/heat-based attacks, +5 constitution, 10 charisma, 50% resistance to water/cold-based attacks, and can wield 2 extra items. A hardy race from an Arctic planet. Mostly humanoid in build, they have 2 extra arms that protrude from their hips. Their thick 3-fingered hands are strong, but cumbersome. Their skin is a bluish-gray. Their heads resemble that of a falcon's, except with feathers replaced by dense scales. So I think at this point, actually, I wasn't taking that much information from the Metroid Prime Hunters guys. Since I'm reading this, I'm like, oh, this doesn't sound like them at all. Their home... Oh my god, wait, is this fucking Chozo? Oh, Jesus. Their home planet's terrain, in much more mountainous than that of Earth's, and its climate, have many more tundra-like tendencies. Fenras have a thick skin, but in exchange, their dexterity suffer. We've already established this. They are famous for their amazing oration skills.
Oh.
Right? It's a bit of a just throwing that in at the end, I guess. Their common names are Jokri, Tek Rajas, Jajek, not to be confused with Zizek, and Hylith, Segawa, and Meiji.
I mean, again, very D&D names. I swear at one point we did like a Mystic Lee's campaign. It was the Teeth Gang one. I cannot remember the actual title of that campaign. I apologize. But we were like, we need to get like a proper stereotypical D&D looking ass tiefling queer baby's first D&D character in, and Lost and Bound. Yeah, I think so.
That was it.
And we decided to name them Zintharath, and there was an apostrophe in there. So like, yeah, to standard.
You just look at like, okay, I gotta look at how can I fit as many things from the back of the alphabet in there. And then further on the energy of I like Metroid is Meridia being a water area, submerged area from Super Metroid. I'm not going to go through all the stats, except to note that they are amphibious and have a 50% resistance to cold and water-based attacks. Fast and lightweight swimmers of the planet Meridia. Their amphibious nature lends to their webbed feet and hands, along with their smooth and slimy skin. What they lack in brawn, they make up for in speed, with names like... I can't quite read to what's...
Capenus, Ether, and Kirill.
And Phaedria, Neme, and Reyna. there is a part of me that was like kind of afraid, like, oh, with these names, was I just going to be going on behind the name and like going like, ooh, what exotic cultures names am I going to be? And I'm like, oh no, this is just like, yeah, my name is Capinas. Fun fact: a high school friend of mine made like a very tiny clay sculptures of some of these races, specifically the Meridian was one of them. I think at that point Meridians also had like I did iterate on this game. This is kind of like the earliest draft of it that I can find, and at that point Meridians also had a glowing ball on their tail.
Like an anglerfish dangler. Makes sense.
Exactly. Then we have Yili, which are quick and calculating, cold-blooded reptilians who are generally discriminated against throughout the galaxy. Oh no, for their traitorous and backstabbing tendencies.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, they're generally discriminated against for things that this book is also discriminating against them for. They are speedy and not strong, and they can grip and cling to walls and surfaces just like your
yeah, I was going to say, is this Oliver? He can wall climb with his backstabbing sadist tendency.
Yeah, true. Oh my god. I think Oliver also has a minus 50% resistance to cold attacks. I was really into the idea of elemental damage here. Oh man, this next one, very fun.
Hey, Cryptid.
We are currently going over a tabletop RPG that I wrote in middle school. It's a lot. As we now have the Skyg, or Skyge? How would you pronounce this?
Skig.
Skig. Ooh, I like that. We got the Skiggy.
You're hitting the Skiggy. I see.
Skiggy. Oh, man. I would like to note that my inspiration for these guys was, who out here remembers that season 1 episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! With the Paradox Brothers and the Labyrinth?
But the Gate Guardian was their signature monster.
Yes, was that the, like, there was a green one, it was like the wall shadow. Which, like, the green, and it had big scythe arms and a lot of red eyes.
It was like multiple red eyes. Because the Paradox Brothers. Sorry, this is me just going kind of like, I remember this actually, because I've seen the cards before. There were 3 separate cards: Suijin, Kazajin, and Raijin, like the thunder storm gods, and they fused to be Gate Guardian. But yeah, there was a big labyrinth monster as well, but I do not remember what that looked like as much. It was green, you said?
Yeah, I think it was called the Wall Shadow. Here we go.
I'm gonna Google it while you read the description.
It is indeed the Wall Shadow. If you want to bring that up on screen, this was part of what the large part of was like, I want to put them in. And now that I've put in 2 Metroid OCs, so they have very low intelligence, low charisma. They lose a quarter of their strength in strong sunlight. They have a very high constitution, at +5 agility, and snake eyes, which is something we'll see later. A mysterious and nocturnal race who used to reside in caverns, half resembling a predatorial insect, half resembling a nightmare. Their dark skin is covered in jagged bumps. Lightweight with a thin exoskeleton that absorbs damage. A primal race of predators who rely more on instincts than calculations.
Oh, hold on. Let me, Oh, it's tiny. Great. Cool. But, yeah.
And their common unisex names are Shakwud. The fuck? Nachotsa and Hach.
Nachotsta and Hach. I can see there being like I can see there being a theming of that kind of fricative sound across names.
Guess.
That'd be.
And then these, the Cryptid, I challenge you on the idea that these are names. They are simply proper nouns, unclaimed by something else for good reason. We get on to the final race, Soren.
like the bread, like the Yu-Gi-Oh. Not the Yu-Gi-Oh. The Fire Emblem character. Sorry.
Oh God, probably. They have very low dexterity. They have lower strength when they're armed. They are really bad with technology. These are just plant monks, a people who dogmatically worship and embrace nature. Mental and physical fitness are second to nothing in their minds. Their focus on nature and fitness has left them far behind most other races' technology. I made Monk a race and also made it weird. They're named Oliol, Alasa, Sazon, Natva, Elrez, and Reraz.
So, does the image of this character fit to the Soren in your head?
Oh my God.
Is the crop of that working? You can't see his head, but he got them dogs out as far as the stream is concerned. But yeah, that is Soren Fire Emblem.
God. Oh, that's from Fire Emblem 9. I don't think that was out at the time that I was making this. So I'm
again,
gonna say yes.
Ahead of your time, prescient.
Right? Oh man. You know, I am also going to, let's see, as we're about to get into the classes, I gotta bring in some of the fucking RuneScape music. That feels like what this deserves.
Oh, because I was like, you can probably skim through this. And I'm like, Acrobat? Fuck yeah, that's a great class.
Right? They're short. The mage is exactly what you'd expect. You get magic usage. One who practices the art of the elders' magic. Wow. Note that all of these, like the races, they have huge changes to your stats, where you're dropping 10 strength and 10 constitution to be a mage. Rogue, you're dropping 15 strength and getting 5 dexterity, 5 agility, and breaking an entry.
To ask, what is an average stat number in this game?
That's a great fucking question.
Because if you start at like 10 and you die if your con is at 0.
I think you're right. No, I think the average, I think 10 was supposed to be average. You're totally right.
Oh boy.
Oh my god. Yeah, I can't believe something in Nyx was poorly conceived.
I mean, Traveler as a system famously could kill you in character creation.
Yes.
So.
You get the Acrobat, where you can just choose one more agility-based ability. Fascinating, the idea of it being agility-based. Hold on to that. But listen, I said this was a stealth and platforming based.
You did.
Campaign, so only appropriate. Emissary is just you talk good. It's like the bard without even musical instruments. But please read the prose I wrote to describe the emissary, because I don't.
No, we'll do the latter sentence. An emissary doesn't infiltrate. An emissary is welcomed in. While others kill with daggers, an emissary can send one to his death with a simple lie. Which, goes hard.
Man.
They follow their own path. Oh. Emissaries going their own way. I cannot wait to join the message board.
Oh my god. Then you just have sniper, which is you shoot real good, and then technician, you do a technology. I love this asterisk just hanging out here. Backstabbing refers to attacking an enemy when they are unaware. Where was that used?
From what? It's not in Rogue. Maybe it was previously in Rogue and has now been removed.
It must have previously been in Rogue. That's so funny that's still there. Okay, and now we get to abilities.
Sonic Boom!
Note that we still do not know how rolling works in this game. Just hold on to that.
I've definitely read recent tabletop RPGs that operate like that, so...
We just have a big fucking slurry of you pick 4. If you're a human, you pick 2, and if you're dual classing, you pick. You pick 2 more, and if you're dual classing, you pick 2 fewer. These go on. We do not have to read all of them by any means.
Are there any highlights that stick out?
Yeah, I mean, Sonic Boom is definitely. I would say I enjoyed Street Fighter at the time. Let's see.
You're a Guile main? Disgusting.
No,
you're a Vega main.
I didn't play Street Fighter at that time. Are you kidding me? The games are hard. I just thought, the concept was cool. So going down, I mean, here, luck plus 5% ability to succeed on all rolls.
I'm taking that one.
We have charismatic, just a flat plus 10 to charisma. Sure, why not?
A good way if you have a flat 10 and you take something that's minus 10 charisma to not die.
True. Scavenger, 20% more likely to find loot. Strange, but sure. Bad Omen, 50% chance of bad luck on enemies. What does that mean? Like, do all enemies just have a 50% greater chance of failure? Like, what? No explanation. Strong Legs. Please read Strong Legs for me.
Strong Legs. 50% bonus on all leg-related rolls. Also, a must-take.
Yeah, you just need to describe how you are using legs in any roll, and it is 50% better. That is a colossal bonus that you can apply to nearly every... Yes, Mega Leg mentioned. You can now see the inspiration unfold before your eyes. I do because the Net Battlers pre-alpha is something I want to go over later. I do want to quickly go over the Nyx crossover content I made, but that'll be later in the stream. Here's one of my favorites. Okay, actually two of my favorites. Apothecary can use certain herbs as a basic healing medicine.
Sure.
But that sounds like that'll need some more specifics later on, but I'm sure those exist. Big Pockets, remember this, can hold 3 more inventory items.
So there was a previous mention of the 4-armed race being kind of able to hold 2 more items because they have 2 extra arms, which makes perfect sense to me. But I guess does this game make a difference between inventory and wielding?
I think that is a very astute question, and I'm going to ask you to hold on to that. MacGyver, that's just literally what this thing is called. Able to combine items to create advanced items. Interesting. Also sounds like that'll need some more information to use, but sure. Quarterback, able to throw items further. This is the one fucking point in the entire text where I resisted the temptation to use a percentile here or something. Yeah. You could go further. Sure.
Plus able.
Food restores 25% more health, as if this is fucking Wolfenstein. You're going to be healing by eating turkeys.
Wool chicken. Yeah.
Let's see, you can keep scrolling. Let's see.
Strong Lung.
Second Wind, 50% chance for a reroll after rolling a 1. That's not even you get a reroll, that is you get a coin flip for a reroll after you roll a 1.
To be honest, that's pretty good. I would probably take that alongside Lucky.
Let's see.
I enjoy this one.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
Oh yes, and there we see Snake Eyes, a 33%, that's right, a 33% improvement on stealth-based rolls. Yeah, okay,
You just need to know the name of the ability, and then you can take the ability.
Oh yeah, the real Rumpelstiltskin scenario.
It's like if you've ever been given that one music YouTube video where the song title, like the video title is nothing and the account name is nothing, so it's very difficult to Google, but every so often it comes up on people's feeds if they're into fans of J music, and the kind of, in the same way that one video of like a Donkey Kong Country like song kind of mysteriously appears on people's feeds because of the algorithm, and like, oh yes, we have all been summoned to this location mysteriously.
Yes. So before we move on to magic, I want. Do you have any impressions about the skills?
So yeah, these again all make sense insofar as like, oh, I've seen but have not read in great detail ability lists in a tabletop RPG, and I have seen ability talent trees in video games. So we're just going to do that. We're just going to have a video game like talent list available, and like, you know, all of these on their own make sense, but the numbers don't because you didn't get that far. The stuff like Mega Leg is, you know, an outlier of just like all leg-based roles, but you know, most of these make sense as abilities. Not many of these are actually that out of pocket. Even naming it after a pop culture thing is, for video games, not out of pocket. And even in some tabletop RPGs, if people are trying to be funny. But yeah, Strong Legs is great.
Fair.
I like Strong Legs, and I do just kind of love the mysterious final ability.
A skill with no name. Now, as we move on to the Mage spell ladder, there's a little bit of explaining to do. Basically, so you can see, actually no explaining necessary, I think this is all self-explanatory. Level 1, 0 spells casted, new spells, freeze, you know, as I say these spells, I would love, because there's not a shitload of them, and I would love...
Oh my god, the third one.
Okay, I would love if you can give me a star rating out of 5 after I read each spell. Freeze. Freezes a surface by pointing. Maximum radius 1 yard, cooldown 2 minutes. Radius increases by 1 yard each level.
3.5, solid cantrip, would use.
Summon, level 1. At level 1, you can summon a loaf of bread, a pebble, and a squirrel. Cooldown 2 minutes.
Ooh, I've played some OSRs where being able to summon a squirrel every 2 minutes would actually be a pretty broken ability. There's no mana in this, so like...
Nope.
Yeah. 4 stars. Broken spell. The loaf of bread, like being able to summon food, especially if you took the perk that gives you bonus healing off it. Pretty good. Yeah, 4-star spell. 4-star spell.
Jesus Jr. turns water into wine by touch. Maximum amount 1 gallon. Cooldown time 3 minutes. Amount increases 2/3 of a gallon each level.
That's a Binding of Isaac ability. I feel like I'd open a chest in Binding of Isaac and pick up Jesus Jr., which turns my tears into wine tears that make the enemy drunk if you hit them 3 times in a row.
Oh my god, you're right. And yes, level 1. When I was making the Nyx crossover content for Net Battlers, I had so much fun looking at these goddamn spells and just going, fuck it. Yeah, what's the star rating on Jesus Jr.?
Less good. That's a bit more niche. This is a 2-star ability.
Moon Bounce turns the gravity of one small item into 1/10 of Earth's norm. Fun fact, the moon gravity is 1/6, as I guess we both know. Thank you, Zero Escape series. Maximum duration 5 minutes. Can only cast on one object at a time. Cooldown 7 minutes.
So this would be a reasonable Featherfall replacement, except for the fact that you are too specific in, say, small item and one small
Right.
item. Meaning I could maybe cast this on a single shoe and try and Featherfall, but I don't think a GM would let me get away with that. And you can't really use it for like thrown items because gravity changes also changes the acceleration of thrown objects. So you would have to throw it and then cast it while in flight for it to maintain its momentum. And then it would have the... So it's really fiddly ability, and I don't think it would be as useful to use. I'm genuinely approaching this like I'm playing Morkborg, which is just full of spells that are fiddly. And you have to be creative to get use out of them, right? And unfortunately... Despite this could be great if it didn't say one small item. As it sits, 1.5.
Fun fact, the first time I ever played... duration increases by 1 minute every level. Size limit removed at level 3.
See, this is wild. This goes from a 1.5 ability to like a 3.5. Like, at the moment you get it to level 3.
The first time I ever played this, someone was playing a cyborg mage, and what they did was It blew my little mind. They used summon level 1 to summon a squirrel, then cast moon bounce on it and threw it to distract the guards in the distance to just have this low gravity squirrel
at extreme range. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, which I was so tickled by that. It was my first taste of the drug known as players are playing your game in ways that delight and surprise you.
No, and that's very much how I'd love to use that ability. Ooh.
Small noise creates a small noise. Maximum range 12 yards. You can choose the sound. Cooldown 3 minutes. Range increases by 2 yards each level.
Actually, a D&D spell, surprisingly useful as a cantrip. 3 stars.
And now we get to level 2. 5 spells casted. That's right. After you cast 5 spells, you get to level 2. That's all. That's all it takes. You get all of these. Wingardium Leviosa, no regrets in my past.
No one was to know.
Alleviates a small object a short distance. Maximum distance of 6 yards, cooldown 5 minutes, range increased by 1 yard each level.
Well, I'm glad it can raise bread on command. However, I can summon a loaf of bread on command every 2 minutes, so 1 star.
Face Erase. Temporarily changes yours or an ally's facial features. Duration 3 minutes. Duration increases by 2 minutes each level.
3.5 to 4, solid. Especially with no ability, with no MP. Cantrips like this are great. Like.
Summon level 2. At level 2, you can summon a fruit basket. Any weather condition, a rope, an empty barrel, and a large spider. Cooldown 4 minutes.
5 stars, using this constantly.
The discrepancy of utility between fucking you can summon
any weather condition and a spider,
a tornado, of an empty barrel, or fruit basket. So funny to me. Baby Will, what were you thinking?
Although the way that this is written, let me double check how the first one's written. Okay. The way that these are written, it says and, not or. So you cast summon level 1 and get all 3 of these simultaneously, right? Which, not a problem, because they're all quite small, although you might tire of having that many loaves of bread.
Or squirrels.
Well, I mean, yeah. It depends on what you want to do, I guess. Being able to summon a sapient creature every 2 minutes is useful. But yeah. The idea of having to change the weather condition every time you want rope, or dealing with a large spider every time you want to change the weather.
Just like, oh yeah, I want a rope. Okay, I guess it starts to get foggy. Also, the spider is at the bottom of the barrel and the basket spawns on top of it to just crush the spider. Can I do that? Oh my god, that's so fun. That never occurred to me. Light of the Ancients. You're going fucking ET on this. What the hell? Creates a light source at the tip of your finger. Maximum duration 5 minutes. Increases 2 minutes each level.
So this is what I would call a cantrip. It has no cooldown.
True. Why the duration if there is no cooldown?
to make you cast it repeatedly. It's like repel. So like 3. It is an incredibly practical spell. It doesn't really say how powerful it is. Maybe, 3. It is a perfectly average ability.
Pyromancer. Starts a small fire on anything flammable. Aim by pointing. Cooldown 7 minutes. Cooldown decreases by 2 minutes each level. Wait, there is no fucking range limit on this? That's insane.
There is no range limit. There is no duration. This is not a magical. This is not a magical fire that will extinguish itself after a period of time. It's not like a fireball where the fire explodes and then is gone. That is a permanent fire you have started that will have to be put out on its own accord. This is. It doesn't do any damage by itself. This is such a strange utility ability. 3.5.
Oh. Okay, you get to level 3. We're getting there, folks. Level 3, miniaturization. Shrinks an inanimate object to half its original size.
Sure. There's no duration on that or cooldown.
Or size limit? Could you point at the Earth? A house? I guess this is why there are, your GM can throw sense checks and, different difficulties on it. That's still so funny to me.
It's
been a while since I looked at this, so
this is a 5-star ability because there is no bounds on the nature of this spell. You can make anything small enough to step on it, and then you win. And it never wears off.
That's the rest of its life.
Shit.
Magic missile. Have you seen the flash animation where the Final Fantasy characters are playing in D&D? Because I had. Shoots a magical projectile that stuns the target for 30 seconds. Stun time increases by 15 seconds each level.
So, fun fact, do you know how long a round of combat is in real time in Dungeons & Dragons?
It's like 7.5 seconds.
6 seconds, yeah. I also notice there is no cooldown on this spell.
Oh my god!
You do not need to increase the level of this spell. This spell, assuming that there is maybe a roll that you need to make to hit, the enemy is probably not going to be able to dodge if they're stunned.
Yeah, that's probably a very easy spell to do. Like once you hit the first
spell.
Yeah. Oh, summon level 3. How is this one going to be better than summoning at any weather condition? At level 3, you can summon a pail of water, a crow, a club, a mirror, and a pail of sand.
I mean, good items, worse than the previous one. I can't remember what rating I gave the previous one, like 4? I guess this is 3? Like, this is somehow less useful than being able to summon loaves of bread on command. I guess the crow is more practical than the squirrel.
It's really more aesthetic. Flashbang. Summons a blinding light with a deafening bang where you aim.
I mean,
no cooldown, no
effect. I mean, it's deafening, but it doesn't...
And blinding.
This is really weird to rules lawyer, because I've been rules lawyering the previous stuff, like it says, and in this instance, to be like, but I deafened them, the gem will be like, but it doesn't do anything. This is bad because of the non-specificity, where the other stuff is super good because of the non-specificity. Oh, Hive Mind's great. Wow.
Yeah, control the actions of any nearby insects.
Broken. 5 stars.
Okay, we got 2 more levels to get through. Level 4, after 30 spells casted. Evaporation. Evaporates a nearby inanimate object. No cooldown. No range.
Could this desiccate a person? No, it's inanimate, so...
Yeah, so you would have to just... Oh man, I don't know. Point at the floor.
You could
point
crumble.
At the ceiling
you could crumble wood or plaster.
Point at the ceiling above someone and just watch whatever caves in on their head. Or the floor underneath them. Goodbye. I guess the floor maybe doesn't count as an object. I don't know, man.
Again, moving. This isn't so good. Even though there's no specificity on it, the kind of useful use cases is pretty narrow since you can't cast it on animate objects. Freeze V2. Enemies plural. It's multi-targeting.
Yeah, true. Apparently, it's just.
There's no freeze V1.
Nope.
But oh no, hold on. That's a lie.
No, there is.
There is freeze. It's just
one,
yeah. That's a pretty big upgrade, actually, I guess.
Quite sizable upgrade. Can you read Summon level 4 for me? I think I will laugh too hard if I do it.
Summon level 4. At level 4, you can summon a pistol with 3 shots, a dagger, a lock, a feral dog, and a bowl of pasta.
Something about the rhythm of this.
A log, a feral dog, yes. Spitting.
You get a pistol with 3 shots, a dagger. You're like, whoa, okay, this is tough, heavy-duty stuff. A log. Okay, I'm kind of losing me a little there. A feral dog. Whoa, a bowl of pasta.
Oh shit, boy.
Oh, you're gonna make Olive Garden look like fucking amateur hour.
These are on screen, but I'm trying my best not to read ahead, and I just, Jesus, senior, fuck off.
What star rating would you give Summon level 4?
Yeah, the power levels of these is pretty wild, but this, unlike the previous ones, has no cooldown. And the idea...
I probably just gave up on writing cooldowns and ranges.
The idea of being able to fucking... like... Xemnas in the final boss fight of Kingdom Hearts 2, where he does like the laser dome, but with like just summoning infinite pistols firing through, or the shot, the cutscene at the beginning of Bayonetta where Rodin is like throwing her just a bunch of guns out of a coffin.
Now, it's funny that's the direction you go with, because the direction I think of this more is like some fucking video game ass, I wrote a function to spawn a feral dog every frame. You just, in the span of 1 minute, I have flooded this room with dogs.
This is a very Scribblenauts looking ass power.
Entirely correct. Very true. Okay, let's, Then we have Jesus Senior as the sequel to Jesus Junior before. Walk on water for a maximum of 3 minutes or 60 feet. Wow, okay, I wrote a duration for that and a range.
Not a cooldown. Shit's free.
Shit is true.
Good. Solid 4.5-star ability.
The idea of, I can't imagine a GM introduces too many parts where you need to walk on water, but hey, it's at least easy to use. And then amphibious, grows fins and gills for a maximum of 3 minutes.
So,
sure.
Yeah, worst Jesus Senior.
Not necessarily. You know, you may need to
underwater dungeon shit. Sure.
Sure, yeah. Get that aquatic approach. And then finally, the final tier, once you have casted 50 spells, Winged Heals, levitate for a maximum of 5 minutes, X-ray vision, see through thin objects. At level 5, you can summon
a pickaxe, pistol ammunition, separate to summon level 4, binoculars, a welding torch, and a thing that we could do at summon level 2.
Yep. Oh, man.
Summon level 2 is the best one, I think. The ability to change where... Maybe it's just because I quite like that ability, that style of abilities in characters, weather control. You know, Storm is the best X-Men. But, yeah... Summon level 2 is pretty poppin'. Well, can you get ammunition by summoning 3-shot pistols? Yes.
Yes. Your clothing Elder Cloak, your clothing refracts light, making yourself almost impossible to see. Maximum duration 2 minutes. Who remembered the invisibility item from Smash Bros. Melee?
It's funny. Last season of anime, there was a show called Under Ninja. Surprisingly good. An alternate history thing where where ninjas are A, real, and B, were actually incredibly important in military procedures in Japan. And so they have research level tech of modern day, meaning there's a bunch of fights where ninjas have like octo camo clothing, but because that tech is quite complicated, it can only be applied to a single item of clothing. So they intentionally have like really baggy hoodies that they can turn invisible, making it very difficult to be like stabbed in vital parts because you can't see. And I'm like, that restriction is both plausible and the way they've used very clever. Neat.
Yeah,
so
that's
yeah,
very fun.
but the idea of Elder Cloak being like, well, it doesn't hide your face or hands, and like, to be honest, that's fine. The ability to kind of still baffle your opponent by them not being able to know where your vitals are, very good. And then Tabula Rasa is just like, great, what? That's a Mystic Lily's ability. Again, prescient.
It is. Basically is. And for the last main chunk of this, we have the in-game formulas. You will finally get to learn how to roll.
Oh, gross.
That's right. That's right. We've got decimals and multiplication.
So when we say D here...
the difficulty. The D is difficulty.
Right, because I was going to say...
Not the die result, which would be very funny.
Yeah, okay.
So here you get standard for... You can use multiple stats to roll in this, and what you do is basically you just take the average of all of the stats and multiply the difficulty by that. And I wrote that in the most complicated way possible. It did not occur to me that people would not want to be playing with graphing calculators at hand. And so, yeah, we're just starting out. This is for...
Your examples are wild. I'm shit at math, but... assuming that the, half of 24 is 12, sure. Rolls greater than 8 will succeed? I do not understand how those two things...
Okay, so wait. So I think it's like 12 is the... Oh man, that's a very good point. Okay, so it's like... I think the idea is this is basically a roll under system, except I wanted to be a rollover system because you roll bigger numbers are better to roll. So you just subtract it. You subtract the result from 20.
No, but what die are you rolling?
Oh, a d20.
Okay.
No. Why would you ask that?
Why would I ask that? Why would I ask that?
That's the one die you roll when you play your D&D campaigns.
Okay.
So let's look at critical rolls. Let's scroll down a little bit. So roll R is a roll, C is a roll chance. Oh, we don't need to go through all of this because it's just some hot
I was not
fucking
expecting
baloney.
to do calculus today.
Check out the combat rolls, where first you roll for accuracy.
Okay, so we find
you
here.
wouldn't have to do this.
So you still do actually have to roll to hit.
You are rolling a d20. So the attacker rolls a d20, adds their dexterity and constitution, and then divides the whole thing by 3. And then the defender rolls a d20 and adds their agility. And if the attacker did better... Oh, no. I'm sorry. I'm wrong. It's d20 plus attacker dexterity plus a third of the attacker's constitution.
Right.
Then,
it's just bracketed strangely. Okay.
Yes. And then you roll for damage in much the same way, except some of the stats have been swapped around. This sucks so fucking much.
So, funnily enough, this works like Warhammer a little bit.
What?
Insofar
the
as
role-playing game or the war game?
The war game, in that it's
that makes sense.
opposed rolls at both steps. And this genuinely sucks about Warhammer, or is very frustrating as a new player, where you roll and see how many shots you fire hit. And then the opponent can then just be like, I have an armor roll to just make more of those hits not matter, even before you roll for damage, meaning it could be vanishingly unlikely to hit certain things regardless of what you do. It means that you always want to be rolling more dice at any given time, and you want to be just using units that are huge because they block a bunch of shit. It's so strange. It so feels bad to roll a bunch of dice and then look at the opponent, and the opponent is like, well, I also get to roll to just say that none of that matters actually. So yeah, sucks that they are both blocking your accuracy roll and the damage it does actively at both stages. Sucks. Ugh, gross.
100%.
Gun.
Yeah,
separate. Yeah, okay.
Because guns, it doesn't matter. You don't have to worry about pulling the bow back. You don't have to be strong. And then the out-of-game technicalities is talking about, we're going to, oh yeah, this was current chat program Steam. I can make a Steam group for us. But when this started out, it was with Skype. And now, much like the skill with no name, there is a notable blankness here, as I would like to remind you of many such things that were mentioned, like health, inventory, size. There's a lot of things that I just did not write, and played the game anyway without them.
I mean, congratulations on running the game. I mean, okay. I continually maintain that people who are into tabletop RPGs should A, try GMing if they haven't GM'd before, and B, write their own game, because there is something about crystallizing what you do and don't enjoy about a gameplay experience that you will never truly understand until you try and write it down. An interesting order that you did this in.
Indeed.
Where you wrote the game and then got into tabletop RPGs. But
yeah,
props to you for doing a thing that so many people are too coward to do.
Now I appreciate that, and truly, much as I think this is a incredibly charmingly foolish venture.
Hey, Ayo, how's it going? It's been a while. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, much as I think this is incredibly right. So I guess. Yes, I do. I must give some props to baby Raffi for writing this, even if it is, it's a hot piece.
Stay in character, Raffi.
Yeah.
If you're going to be out of character about this, you need to be talking in square brackets.
I have two questions for you. Would you play this game? If I ran a one-shot of this game, would you play it? Because I will say I ran a one-shot of this game several years ago, as on a lark, and
thank you, Ariel, for taking the time to do it. I am doing well, thank you. Sorry, I was getting around to responding to you who amid thought. Yes, I am doing well. It's been good. We've been busy. We're having a day before we get into our next play where we're going through a bunch of our old game design and artworks. Would I want to play this?
And I will say, with the stipulation, like, the one thing I changed about it when I ran it several years ago was throwing out the dice rolling shit and just making a really simple, like, I think it was just like a D100 roll under kind of thing. But so change, because that is the one part that I was like, okay, this is genuinely too painful to try and work with.
Yeah. Functionality wise, it's like, you'd have to either have a bot to do that for you or just kind of fully replace it with a different dice system. So yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I would love to play a cyborg mage that can change weather with 0 cooldown. repeatedly. That would be very funny. I would be down for that. Because when there's no health, it now becomes a thing about problem solving and doing what we can to get what we want rather than survival. So yeah, it would be funny. I would be down.
And that preempted my second question of what character would you play?
I mean, I know what I'm
understand.
about. I would absolutely be a cyborg mage. I mean, I get the buff to int. The only thing is that I don't think stats generation occurs.
No, the stats are purely determined by your race and class.
Yes, but because there's no baseline, if I play cyborg,
oh, that's right. Yeah,
I would have to ensure that I take something. I have to take the charismatic stat to put me at plus 10 charisma. And then I would have to, let's see, is there anything that gives me 7 or more charisma? There isn't. So I would die immediately.
I'm going to need to go back and look over the characters.
If I have no base stat. So I would have to be very careful about what I choose, because the combination therein, I would immediately perish.
I think some people's stats actually started at 20.
Okay.
I'm going to real quick look up, because I still have the character sheets from oh so long ago. Let's see. Man, I thought, well, if I dig that up, I will let you know, but oh, here we go. It was under Nick's car sheets, because why would you write out the whole thing? Yes, it seems like stats are indeed starting at 20 across the board.
Okay. Noted. Okay. Sorry to think of a practicality thing. I need to go for a break for a little bit. Okay. And now seems like a good time to go for a break.
Yeah, now that we've wrapped Nick's up.
Yeah, when we get back, I will show off some pixel art, and then we can look at some net battlers, and then we'll see if we have some time to fuck around with some visual novels. But we're gonna go on a little bit longer than 5. I'm gonna need a little bit longer than 5. We're gonna go on a 7-minute break, and we'll see you all on the other side. Be right back.
See you soon.
And welcome back, everybody. While everything goes and loads back in, we have the jams. We're back in the lounge.
Back in the mines.
Right.
We are banishing the ghost of Nyx from this stream. It has been excised thoroughly.
What's coming up next is a prime piece of nonsense. Not nonsense that I enjoy, but nonsense all the same. I did a lot of pixel art when I was 15, and it is of varying quality. We'll try and go through as much of this as we can.
Ooh, I can see. Do I have an art museum theme?
What can I? Well, there's also the matter of, can I like move through these like a slideshow or not?
Oh, I hope so.
Okay, I can. Right. Sick. These are going to be in a very strange order, because I cannot be bothered to like reshare every time I close like the window, right, to open. So we're going to be hopping around, I think, in terms of like what these are of and things like that. But yeah, these are a wide variety of different graphics and stuff that I made while I was a teenager, ranging from about 13 to maybe 16 or 17.
Man, had I not just spent 5 years going over Nyx with you, I would absolutely. We gotta do another one of these streams at some point because I gotta have some fucking forum signatures to throw out. But I want to see your pixel
there
art.
will be some forum signatures as part of this process. It's not letting me capture that. Okay. So what we'll do is that we'll do a window capture instead. That will have to be how we do the thing. Display capture. Whoa! Gosh, I saw infinity for a moment. Let me hide that. Which window are we doing?
Yes, Infinity War.
Oh, right. We want this one and we want this monitor. Okay. Right. Cool. And then it already has the size. Sorry, bear with me while I sort this. Also, hi,
No
Ruben.
Worries.
I hope you're
How's
doing
it going,
well.
Ruben?
That
How
should
is
be
it hanging, my friend?
Right, so now we need to go and put this a ways down. Dragons and forum signatures at some point. Oh, that's the energy. That's the energy of what this fucking is. Move here. We're gonna share this screen with you. I guess it's yeah. It's showing the screen. Yeah. Okay, so you can see that now, and then stream should be able to see it. Okay.
I can.
Cool.
Oh, perfect.
Oh my god. So, oh my god. We're gonna make this larger so people can see it. You know how you said that you were on like the official Nintendo Insider forums?
That's insider to you, but yes.
I tried to put the N in there, you know.
Okay. Mhm.
So yeah, there was a similar equivalent in the UK called Official Nintendo Magazine. And this was one of the last ones that I made. Because I was doing sprite comics way before and then wanted to like continue doing them in that style for this kind of new community of people. But I was on a variety of other like sprite forums and stuff. There was the Sprayers resource, and then there was another one. There was another one that was mostly people who were really into doing sprite comics, and a lot of them had like Sonic OCs. And we'll get to talking about that website in a bit when we get to some of them from it. But yeah, this was one of the Nintendo specific themed ones. And they're all bad. None of these are funny. But they all...
I'm glad we are laying it out here that... Oh yeah, was it cheesy
It might have
art?
been cheesy art. It might have been cheesy art. Like, I'm pretty sure there was a person called Kerbofa.
Oh yeah, Kerbofa. Oh my god, this name is really familiar.
Yeah, you know, I'm pretty sure he's pretty internet prolific. No idea what he does now, but I think he was like.
Oh my god, wait, is he? Hold on.
Does he do voice acting shit now?
I think he's a voice actor.
Yeah.
Voice actor and animator. Wow.
Yeah, no, Kerbofa was one of the big names on that message board even back then. So, you know, we went from strength to strength, I guess. But yeah, these are some sprite comics that I did for the official Nintendo magazine. Was he hit with allegations? I could not tell you. Similarly, a Pokemon themed one. Where what if inside the Pokeball, they are also playing Pokemon? The trainer, I do believe, is it's at the bottom. You gotta. Hey, I will say at that period of time in the past, crediting everybody was key. People always did that shit. No theft. Well, there was theft, but for the webcomics and stuff, you gotta do the make sure everybody's credited if you're using people's sprite work and shit like that. Everything is copyright.
People know that. Nintendo owns Pikachu. You are not claiming anything.
Fucking that one's broken.
No copyright infringement intended.
Oh yes, early Mega Man Battle Network pixel art. Yes. We'll see this. We'll see Candy.exe come up. So I did a lot of what you would call so cringe. Frankensprouting.
Yeah.
The process of doing pixel art by taking existing sprite art from a bunch of different sources, putting them together to build the character, and then recoloring it so it's like an original thing. And it was a really easy way of being able to do character art. Because, you know, you could make an OC, what was called a PC back then, a personal character.
Whoa, I don't remember that term.
Yeah, no, it was PCs back then.
Oh wow.
So yeah, a lot of that energy. This was. Can I zoom this in? Oh, cool! It's artifacted because Windows Picture or whatever is. This isn't blurry at actual size. It's just the Windows Picture viewer doesn't care what pixel art is, right? But this was, I think, the original design of Candy X, or maybe this is the redesign. I do not remember. This feels more nuanced, I think, than the other one.
This looks a bit more coherent than like I took the big rings from ring.exe.
Yeah. A lot of this is medi, but I've done more active artwork in restructuring it. Like the dress is like reshaded badly, mind you, but yeah. What's next? Broken. Oh yes.
Oh, this is I am going insane over how classic this is. There's a little cropped out on stream.
Yeah, no, I've
there we go. You got it. Oh man.
Just Sonic Advance. A gift to the sprite comic community.
Truly, that if it wasn't for Sonic Advance, my Kirby OC wouldn't have had crazy hair. Sorry, I'm just frame 2, panel 2, just looking at the like extremely motion blurred Sonic right behind the like ragdoll hanging pose.
Yeah, like trying to do a smear frame there is, you know, I had pretty good understanding of Photoshop. I think this looks clean, but it's definitely, you know, formative. If I was to remake this now, the style would definitely be somewhat different. But I think trying to like work through how I would do smear frames in pixel art, I think is reasonably clean. But yeah, I fucking hated this one. I hated Ocean Base Zone in Sonic Advance 3. It's a cool game, but the screen is so small and the sprite is so large. Being able to see what's ahead of you is basically impossible.
This really was just like how you interacted with media at this point. It was like, man, this thing in a video game is frustrating me. I'm going to get their asses by making a sprite comic.
So this was the comic I was making once I moved from Sprites Inc., which was a Mega Man specific web forum. So I was doing, you know, specific. Oh no, but I was making these for fucking game FAQs, man.
Whoa! I didn't even know they had sprite comics. I mean, of course they would.
Yeah,
but...
no, absolutely. The Mega Man Battle Network forums. There was somebody who was doing. I think it was around. Battle Network 5, because Liberation missions were part of the storyline, but somebody else was doing some, and I was like, I have an OC, can I be in your comic? And then I started making comics and included his character in my comics. It was very cute. And then from there I'd start doing Sonic ones, but yeah, they're so informed by the kind of humor style of the time. It's just
found you, Nutsy.
Yeah.
Lesson 3.
Yeah. Oh my god. Broken. Oh god. I love this one. I unironically find this very funny. So around this time,
Yes.
Around this time, I would go on holiday to see family in Barbados, usually during winter, and would catch up with cousins and stuff who are mostly all younger than me. And they thought I was very cool because I, made comics and played video games and all that kind of stuff. And I liked the same stuff that they did. And it's like, oh, there's other people because, Barbados is not a huge island. And nerd culture didn't take off in the same way that it did in, the UK or the US prior to... Like, they have all the kind of nerd community stuff now. They have local game stores and stuff now. But at the time, that kind of thing wasn't as huge. So you connected with people over the internet. So they were very... everybody was very enthused that there were family members we could talk to about nerd shit. And I mentioned that I did like a Sprite comic, and they were like, oh, can you show me? And I showed them this. They were definitely, I was a teenager and they were younger than me, so maybe like 10. And obviously didn't get the joke.
No.
Because of course they wouldn't. And then a couple years later, revisiting and everything, I, in conversation with the same kid, now older, told me with reasonable delight that he got the joke now. Yes.
That is a sign of having grown up.
Mm-hmm. That you can tell dick jokes to your younger cousins who are also boys.
Oh, man, that's so I was afraid the story was going to go into. Then you had to explain
to like a parent or something. No.
Yeah, that's why I was like, oh no.
That one's broken. Yes. So that Sonic-based one. Super into OCs. Super into doing Sprite comics and fan art and stuff where all the characters are hanging out or whatever. And I didn't have a Sonic OC because I had a Battle Network OC. And they were like, well, you need to have a character that makes sense in the same art style as everybody else, otherwise we can't put you in the comics that we're doing. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make this guy. And it is very much taking the conceit of grooveman.exe as a character in color story or whatever. But I do also love that my favorite colors have just not changed.
I love not just that, but also just the it feels like such a classic genre of Sprite comic to be like, my OC shows him.
Stupid. Oh, man, this one I clearly started it in Photoshop and then didn't have access to it when finishing up. So parts of it are done in MS Paint. A lot of the early shit was done in MS Paint. But yeah, these are OCs from these are all OCs from that message board and shit like that. Not just all terrible. I hate this. How is this funny? I had to footnote the fact that it is a badly drawn censorship box.
I didn't even notice that. Oh my god. And the text on the side explaining that you had a coffee overdose. That's why that is.
I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think this is just to be cynical. This is supporting transfem Sonic headcanon. To be honest, this is the peak of lol random comics internet, right?
Oh yeah.
And I was considering, the desperation to make my own OC and feature in other people's OCs in my comics so we can be friends. This feels like me trying to mirror that sense of humor in a way that please like me. I'm doing all the jokes that everybody also on Newgrounds and stuff does with the Sonic characters.
Like, yeah, that's man. I love the fact that you made this not because of teenage horny, but because of
God no.
man. I want those other people to like me.
God no. While there are many routes to discovering things about yourselves through video game characters, I was genuinely not really one of those people. You know,
No,
the closest
Yeah.
the closest to that would be me as an adult, or at least a young adult, playing through Undertale and being like, "Hey, Metaton speaks to me as a person." They get it. They get it. Is the closest that has ever been. This is definitely not teenage horny.
No, obviously, and that's why it's very funny of just like the time of like having all of these punchlines where like punchline is someone stole our clothes or something, and like
Sex,
the
penises.
the one gay kid who's like, hey guy.
That one's
Aw.
broken. Oh yeah. We can tell time has passed because the video game jokes are different.
Oh, edgy! You got OMFG in here. Ooh.
Hey, this one was
Oh my
posted
god!
on.
Sonic and the Secret Rings
Yeah.
discourse. Holy shit!
So you know, time has passed. The Wii exists now. And I think this one was posted on the Game FAQs. They weren't a fan. It was quite funny, going from like forum communities of like sprite artists were making webcomics and stuff like this was the norm, and as a result was like largely appreciated, even the bad ones, right? People were like mean about art they didn't like, but generally the idea of making ineffectual sprite comics was like standard. But that's not true on Game FAQs. People made sprite comics, but it wasn't what people went there to do. So people were very negative about me moving my comics there, which is quite interesting.
Also, is that fucking Joker Man for Speed Break? I think that's fucking Joker
Oh yeah.
Man.
Oh yeah. I clearly needed to think of a font that was and we returned to previous jokes. Actually, to be honest, genuinely funny. I like this one. I thought I snapped with carrying the action as well, actually.
Yeah, no, I think the motion blur in this carries a lot better. The other one, when it was like you were trying to do that smear frame, it kind of just looked like there was a Sonic ghost who was running up the hung Sonic's butt. But here I'm like, oh no, I think this looks good.
You know, I improved over time. You can tell that these are like better. But the thing is, we haven't seen some of our old stuff, so you can see you've seen these webcomics at their best. You haven't yet seen them at their worst.
At their rest.
Oh yeah, we got forum signatures. Hold on. Let me get this to. I mean, I still love the color halftone tool in Photoshop. I use it everything still. But yeah, this is a whole bunch of Mega Man Battle Network renders at different sizes with the kind of comics halftone on them, because I thought that kind of comic cell shading stuff was the coolest fucking thing. And I still do. I have not changed.
What is that font? I feel like I've seen that font.
It is,
so many
I
places,
believe, like I think it's the Blambot font Anime Ace. It's a comics writing font.
Does make sense.
There was probably a period of time where some of these comics used it. Clearly not these ones. Oh yes, relatively early on, kind of explaining to people how you can do Franken-spriting. You're taking parts from existing sprites, putting them together, finding colors on something else and recoloring. Which, hey, that is competent sprites in 6 easy steps. That's not to say they're good, but you make your OC mad fucking fast.
I love the little emoticon at the end. Very cute.
Do not remember what this was definitely for the Nintendo.
Oh my god, yeah, this
for
is
the Nintendo forum.
Oh, back when people thought about the movie 300. you remember a guy getting kicked into a pit? Because I sure do.
Goodness. Oh yeah. This I made. It's a not a full just recolor of Flashman. It's Flashman and Quickman.
Yeah, I was gonna say got the hover there.
But I think I made this character for there's no H in Chrono. Awful.
Oh shit! It's like the main character of Chrono Trigger.
But this was I think I put this sprite together for a specific gag in the Battle Network comic, so we'll see more of Chrono Man with no H later. Oh yeah, people wanting me to making forum signatures for other people.
A big D. England boy.
The name of the clan, the main of whatever like Counter-Strike fucking clan this was.
Oh my god, I'm wondering if that's like enemy like that doesn't look like a Counter-Strike character. It's like fucking.
I don't fucking know.
I don't know if that was
maybe they're all the same video game. But
man,
in a similar fashion to, I mean the ratios and placement and everything is actually reasonably fine, but it is very much of error. In the same way where I was making those kind of like the sprite comics because everybody else in that community was, and they wanted to, you know, make friends. It was like, I can use my Photoshop skills to make friends in my high school. God. The moment I was allowed to put Corporal in my Call of Duty Online, always chasing that high, it would take a very strong effort to get me to go and play a first-person shooter as an adult. Oh yes, I did flash animations on Newgrounds. They are still there. If you know where to look for them. One of them is in like a whip folder, so it still exists, but it's not public, which is sad, because, you know, it was the last Flash thing I ever did, so the technical competence was much higher. But yeah, this is like one of the backgrounds for that Flash animation. The character was like a computer teacher, so I needed to make a computer lab, so, you know, I had that uploaded. Ha 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 ha. Forum signatures.
Yes.
Forum signatures. This
the
sucks.
Tool, the Kingdom Hearts quote.
God, had I played Kingdom Hearts by this point? I played Kingdom Hearts very late.
True, sorry. I first thought that was Axel's silhouette before I was like,
no, this was the sprite. This was my group man sprite. Yeah.
Was this quoting yourself?
I do not remember.
Was this because of the? I'm like looking at this. I'm like, is this because of the violence in video games scare?
Oh, probably yes. Very likely.
Oh my god, what was that guy's name? Jack,
not Jack Chick.
No, it's not Jack Nicholson, obviously, but
yeah, the lawyer who was like,
yes, the fucking nerd internet was like,
yeah,
this is the guy
we're gonna destroy video. Yeah, no, now that you raise that, that's probably what this was about. Stupid. Oh, sure. I think this was like somebody had the idea and was like, I can't make this work correctly, or like they were missing bits and pieces and they wanted other stuff, so I was kind of like, oh well, I'll finish the sprite sheet for you. I'll make it smaller so you can see all the bits and pieces of it, but it's like a custom Met sprite sheet.
Very cute. Yeah, I love the idea of Mets having styles. The idea of fighting a Metar and just mid-fight, it just
cross fusion. Yeah. A mock-up of like what a Mega Man Battle Network like PvP fan game might look like. Nothing in particular. It was just kind of, you know, clearly were like, it'd be cool if it worked like this, or if it was like if Battle Chip Challenge was better or something like that. I do not remember the specific incarnation of. Oh yeah. Fucking hoverboards that look like fishies.
Yo, I love these. They're so cute. I want one.
Oh yes, a sprite sheet I made for a Flash animation. So, are you aware of Sonic Battle for the GBA?
Yes, the isometric fighting game.
Yeah, it was a really cool idea and played like butt cheeks. But one of its big gimmicks is that there's like a creative fighter, and it's not a mode, it's like the entire campaign largely is that you play as Emerl, who is like a robot who was previously owned by Dr. Eggman and was like gaining independence, whatever, and Sonic's like looking after him. But the idea is that he like learns from the people he fights. So every time you do a fight in that game, you learn a button input from the people that you fought. So that could be it's like light punch or heavy punch, or the different specials, or how it blocks, or how you heal. And one of them was called Styles because it changes like the idle animation and HP of the character. So there is a Sonic style and a Shadow style and everything. And so I was like, oh, and the abilities, because it's a robot that you're teaching it onto, the graphics for earning these new abilities look like battle chips. So I'm like, oh, there's a chip called Amy Style. And styles exist in the Battle Network world. So surely LAN, if given a chip that says a style on it, would use it. And what would that look like? So there's a dumb flash animation where like Mega Man is being a pushy little bitch and being like, use the chip you got. Do you not want to win? Get good, you idiot owner of mine. Use it. And then he turns into Amy Style. And Proto Man finds it fucking hilarious. So that
you made me a girl.
Yeah. You changed my outward appearance of gender. How will I ever recover from this?
Chad with the fucking tiny pupil and big ass sweat drop.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that as was the style at the time.
Oh yes. So there was a period where, you know, because everybody made sprite comics, people who had lots of sprite comics like together would sometimes have like one person pay for like the web hosting, and then everybody would put their web comics on there. Because there were plenty of websites that were like that with like, because this is like pre like
Smack Jeeves, was it?
Yeah, it was in the kind of like Smack Jeeves era, but it was the idea of having like a crew of people who were all like-minded and doing comics together. And so I had one, and the website was called Funky Pixel FP, and my little like avatar was like a Met with an afro. This is a very poorly drawn afro for this Met. It definitely looks like it's just wearing a very large fur hat.
It does kind of look like it has a honeypot stuck on its head.
But, you know, websites had like a bunch of like mini banners of all the associated websites, right? And then you clicked on the mini banner and it would take you there. So this is the mini banner for Funky Pixel. Graphic design is my fucking passion.
I love how maximalist this is with the colors.
Oh, I vomit. Disgusting.
It does kind of look.
I like this one. This is good. This is unironically good.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. No. This just looks fun. I think spaces between the words probably would have been nice, but that's honestly all I can
that was also the style at the time.
True. No, this looks good. This looks good.
And these largely maintain as ghost types I like. I've become less of a fan of Gengar as I've gotten older. I think he's overdone.
You think Ooh.
Old avatar for grooveman.exe. This was like my forum profile picture.
Naturally.
Yeah. Clean, simple.
Simple and clean, yes.
Haha, fan art. Somebody did fan art of a groove style. I have no idea where they put the microphone up his ass, but
I read that as he's holding it backwards.
Yeah,
like...
no, I read that as like either a tail or some kind of thing, and I was like, thanks. It looks odd, but thank you. But yeah, no, I guess he's supposed to be holding it, but.
It's definitely strange, and the pixel size being completely different on the musical notes is also funny to me.
So so I tried my best, and I think I maintained it as a rule to not be snobbish about people's pixel art that was worse than mine. I think I knew to not do that, but oh man, I felt some type of way about, you know, people getting fan arts in general, and, you know, people who are both good artists making art trades for each other, and you're like, oh man, look at all this beautiful art that you're getting for free from people who care about you. And I'm like, oh man, I don't really get fan art like that. I'm just out here trying to be liked and making my cool little pixel people. And, you know, I think this was genuinely one of the first, if not the only, piece of fan art I got at the time. And I was like, that's so nice of you for taking the time to make fan art for me, even though we don't really know each other like that. And inwardly, this is ass though. You do understand this looks bad, but
it is truly one of those things of like, aw, that's sweet.
God. This was the modern incarnation of the Grooveman sprite, where I had enough pixel art skills to kind of unify the things that I was Franken-spriting. I genuinely still like this. It's still pretty clearly, if you're familiar with the games, you can tell what it's made out of, but I like how coherent it all is. Oh yeah, Kirby. The K Groove, hell yes.
What is this?
Kirby OC. It is Laser Kirby recolored. I also needed I also needed this for a webcomic, and then was like, well, I'll do the full sheet. I only needed like a couple frames, but hey, I'll do the full sheet.
Oh man, now I'm sad that my Kirby OC ref sheet is lost to time, so just utterly to oblivion.
I do like this little animation I did of removing the visor and the visor turning into a mic, and then doing the mic kind of like effect.
Oh yeah, that's cute.
Cool. Yes, this is the full sheet of Grooveman. Not enough to use as a sprite replace, but very much of the time, with the stupid expression ranges.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you have all of the expressions that you would need for a 2008 webcomic.
Again, I do enjoy that my how I chose to represent myself as a digital person has remained surprisingly consistent through the years.
Less spiky, much less spiky now.
Much less spiky.
But past that, it is still funny to me that your branding is so, like, back then even more centric on music without you being a musician at all.
I wish I was a musician, but that requires practice in a way that I'm bad at doing. I have a bass guitar literally behind me. I was when I took lessons at in late high school, sixth form, and I really enjoyed it. And because I was going to lessons regularly, I was practicing a lot in my own time. And then when I went to university, I didn't find somewhere to keep taking lessons in the city I was in. And so I fell off and never really got back on the wagon after that. But yeah, my appreciation for music is boundless, but my actual ability to play an instrument is at least current not there. I have thought about it a handful of times, but the idea of picking up another hobby.
Yeah, no, I get that. There are so many things where it's like, oh man, if I had infinite time and energy, there are so many things I'd love to do. So yeah, I feel that entirely.
Oh yeah, another fan art from Sol. I remember Sol just about.
Oh, this one's sweet.
It's very. I like the way that they did the visor. It feels very Space Channel 5. What was my favorite Battle Network game at the time? Still 3. 3 has remained my favorite Battle Network game, I think. Yeah, the feelings of that have expanded to like 3 in Star Force 1, which is mechanically aggressively okay, but narratively a fun time. But yeah, no, 3 still remains my favorite. Ooh, a much wider style sheet.
All the ones at the bottom left are so cute.
The chibi ones, those are sprited from scratch. Those aren't frankened.
Oh wow.
There was a period of time where people were talking about doing a game maker platformer with people's OCs. And obviously it didn't pan out because none of us know how to make a fucking video game.
Naturally.
But, yeah. In fact, the cel-shaded one, so there is the King of... This one's based on a King of Fighters sprite and looks fucking terrible. But this one is also actually sprite from scratch. This was about as good as I could be. This is how good as I got as a sprite artist at the end of my sprite art career, I guess. Competent. Like, I genuinely gained some skills at making some things that didn't look horrendous by the time I stopped doing it. But, yeah.
Yeah, for real. I do want to pat the tiny platformer ones on the left. I just want to pat him on the head and, like, I don't know, give him a hamburger or something.
He's under modern parlance, a scrungly little guy.
You gotta grab that lollipop from 30 images ago.
Groove Man, let's go.
Oh.
This was the original design. Let me make it a little wider so chat can see. Yeah, the Franken-spriting was much worse back in the day.
T-Groove. I feel like I know several musicians who work in that genre.
But yeah. No, this is what Groove Man looked like in the early stages of me working out how to do sprite art. And, you know, it's clean. It's still kind of bad in places. The microphone arm is not very convincing.
I do love the Trumpy mouth arm. That's it's very cute.
Yeah, there were changes made over time. This is clearly not the final form, but I decided that Groove Man specifically needed to be left-handed because I'm left-handed, so switching the microphone arm was of importance. Also, and thinking about design sensibilities, like the readability of the mic arm isn't there if it's away from the camera, so like redesigning it so the silhouette made more sense and things like that. Stuff we're learning. Doing a Power Fighters version of Groove Man. So there was an arcade game called Mega Man the Power Fighters, and there was to be like a competition on Sprites Inc. for essentially Mega Man X style fan characters that would be used in some kind of project. And I remember working on this sheet so hard for like weeks, for a really long time. It just took, because it had to be a full playable animatable sheet rather than individual frames. So the amount of work in putting them together was like a whole thing. And it was my birthday and I had finished it. And at the end of the work day, at the end of the school day, I was like, oh, because I was working on the computer labs, right? And you had my USB like thumb drive that I had it saved on. And I was like, oh, I can't find my USB drive. Oh, dang. Well, maybe I left it in the computer rooms. So I went back and to the computer I was using, I finished it and it's not there.
Oh no.
It was probably picked up by the guy who's like the admin for the computer room and was held on to for like a lost and found. But I didn't think to ask him and was just kind of like, oh no. Well, I just finished it. I had worked so hard. Why is this my birthday reward? But I had a half-finished version of it at home and basically went back and did the remaining half of the character sheet just again. And I think this is the finished version of it. And in that kind of way of like working hard to finish such a large creative project, because I never really had to, you know, work hard, and webcomics don't take long to make.
No,
and they,
that was one of their prime features. Did not take a lot of effort.
So this was definitely like the biggest spring project I ever did, and was very kind of like proud of myself for finishing it. And then obviously the guy who was running the competition was like, well, you know, this is ultimately a Frankensprite, so it is on the back foot compared to a lot of the other people who submitted stuff that has been pixel arted from scratch. And like, yeah, but no, I get it. I understand.
On your birthday.
On my birthday, God. Oh yeah, Battle Network 6 existed.
Oh yeah.
So the ability of Beast Out was a thing, and I liked Falzar more than Gregar, so I was like, yeah, let me have a sprite sheet for the animation where you get the bird wings. The sprite sheet for the OC. Yeah.
What is on your shirt here? I love it.
Just a funny little kind of like abstract 4 squares kind of thing.
I love your character's outfit here. This Sonic OC is delightful.
With the flares. I think the flares are sick, actually. I'd wear this outfit. With the tiny shades too. I was fucking styling. I was good. Some of these are broken. Other England boys playing Halo. Yeah. Shit.
The speech box of sniping.
Oh god, so many of these are broken. Oh gosh, early drawings scanned in. Yeah, let's go. Oh. Goodness me. What scanner did I put this into that destroyed this so badly? My ability to draw has marginally improved in the time in between. I was definitely one of those people. I mean, I've made one of the Net Battlers like player characters I played was like a two-faced drama mask like Harlequin style character. So my appreciation of jesters has definitely maintained, I think, throughout time. It is an aesthetic that I actually find quite charming. And I'm not one of those people that finds the concept of clowns to be scary and like untenable. That was probably done with highlighters, actually. That was done with highlighter pens for fucking sure.
Oh, that's cute. I do love the your brand music jesters.
Yeah. A tiny little Mega Man X sprite to look like a detective. This looks so ass. But then the Mega Man X standard pose is so awkward. Trying to color over it really doesn't work very well. But yeah. No, somebody wanted to do a Game Maker game and needed a pixel artist, and I'll do it. Didn't get very far, as unsurprisingly, but you know. Ooh, yeah, this was a sprite sheet needed for one of the Flash animations I did. This character is Jennifer, based on ZX sprites, which were considerably more competent. My ability to pixel them over, also pretty limited in its own way. But, you know, very much the character design of the period. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can kind of get an impression of the fit.
The Battle Network portrait edit.
Oh yeah. I mean, this was it was a narrative Flash animation, obviously. So we need to have a text box with character art so you can see them speak and everything. Another NPC from a thing. I think this was done by somebody else. I needed somebody wanted to be involved and have their character involved, so they sent the sprite sheet over to me. Less inspiring on this. Land with a different nose is not really sparking joy.
And his hair is black.
Wild. It's such a strange hairstyle.
And green eyes.
An anglerfish front bang is so...
It is a choice.
Oh yeah, the early version of when I tried to do the portrait myself, rather than doing an edit, and it's partially photoshopped, so it's a lot blurrier. Bad times.
It took me a second to realize that was a face just without eyes and mouth.
Yeah, weird purple flesh blob. Oh, a fusion of King Man and Flame Man, which I thought was very cute.
That's Flame Man to you.
Just for fun.
That's fun.
Sprite edits just for fun. So silly. Me working on... Oh, I did actually do this one entirely from scratch. It wasn't a paint over. I guess it was kind of using King of Fighters sprites as a study to then try and draw myself.
That makes sense.
And there are anatomy issues out the ass with this, but I can... It's I didn't realize I actually documented my process. That's cute.
You had the power.
Yeah,
you were more than just a Frankensteiner.
Yeah, no, I was actively trying to grow and improve as an artist. Wild. My trick-or-treat costume. Going as Phoenix Wright. That's great. I forgot about this.
And at the time, going really bad edit.
It is a really bad edit.
I don't think it's that bad.
It's a lazy edit, but yeah. Oh yeah, other early signatures, working out how to kind of do transparency, so it's like, ooh, it's more than a box. Wow.
I love the tagline. You can't go wrong with Magneton.
My favorite Gen 1 Pokemon, yeah. Oh gosh. This is not drawn by me. Wow. I do not remember. This was so... Oh, this is a bunch of people from the Sprites resource. This was a lot of people's OCs and stuff. So this is Daz over here, the owner.
Can you click the thing to rotate it?
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. This. There we go. So over here in the top left, we have Daz. That's the owner of the Sprites resource. Still is. We have, I think this was Tim, this guy's name is Tim Guycott, who was like a skeleton in a top hat. Oh gosh, I remember this character design, but I do not remember who this person is. I think his name is Z. This is Random Talking Bush, who does a ton of like fan hack stuff now. Or like, because, you know, the process of being a sprite ripper means that you're very good at kind of getting into game files, and has continued to do such across games going forward. I think this was supposed to be me in the middle.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I have a headband and shades.
And spiky hair.
Yeah. I mean, this was like Groove Man at the time, so, you know, the spiky hair makes sense, but like, yeah. I wild. I guess, yeah, I saved all the fan art I received, including really wild ones like this. But the fact that I still recognize some of the oh, this was Tonberry 2K.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This is very cute.
It's funny where, like, your avatar or your username or whatever is just a video game character, and then still people recognize you as that video game character more than the video game character itself. Like, you know, all of us were aware of Final Fantasy, but none of us were, like, huge Final Fantasy fans. So if we thought of Tonberries, we thought of the forum poster, not the Final Fantasy anime. Very funny. Oh, who's this motherfucker?
This looks like a Sonic OC.
It is a Sonic OC. I don't think it's mine. I vaguely remember making this, but I do not remember what for. This might have been for a Sprite comic at one point or something like that, but it's not especially exciting. I'll speed up. I've been doing this for quite a while. Oh yeah. Other fan art mecha. Oh, so one of the things I did do a full sprite rip for, and I'm very proud of, is that I did, alongside Mecha Pichu, a sprite rip of all of the different body parts in the GBA Metabots game, because they were all separate files, so you could like build your own Metabot in game or whatever, and I ripped all of those alongside Mecha Pichu, helping with the process of that. And as fan art, Mecha Pichu put these together. Cute. Let me see if I can skip forward to the. There's so much more here than I remember there being. Apologies for this taking so long. Okay.
The archives.
Yeah. We can fast forward a little bit because a lot of these are broken. Oh, yeah. Wanting to do... I think I mentioned previously Negima, the manga where they do wizard fighting on the moon.
Yeah. I'm curious, what was the previous one that was Nathan Blaze's Net Square?
Oh, sure. It was probably just a forum signature of some kind. I do not remember if I maintained a message board or anything like that.
Okay.
But yeah. There was this is the main character Negima, done in the style of Jump Ultimate Stars, which was like a Smash Bros clone on DS that featured like Jump, Shonen Jump characters, and that was also a huge source of sprite edits and stuff at the time because you had a full moveset for Goku.
It was like Japan only, wasn't it?
It was Japan only. There were two of them.
Because I remember being like, man, Smash Bros on a handheld. Oh man, why can't I get that?
Yeah. So this was a sprite edit, I think, of the main character of Negima done in the Jump style. An official comment. Oh yeah, the name of these changed, I guess. I kind of once I started posting them to the official Nintendo magazine like message board, I changed the title of the comics so it could be like this is a comic for y'all. In response to the Super Smash Bros. Brawl announcement, because this was before the game came out, where they kind of like one of the things they revealed was Kirby's Final Smash, where they just boiled Mario alive.
And that look on his face. I love that look on his face. He's just like, what the fuck is this?
And then an attempt to do kind of like a dot hack isekai style thing that could feature people's like OCs and stuff like that, because again, webcomics and people's OCs.
That's me equals D.
Yeah. Kurt Stevens. Just this was a lot more kind of like still sprite like Franken sprites and stuff like that, but better quality than what I was doing in the past. But yeah, these are all pretty like standard looking. And it didn't go anywhere. I only really got like 4 posts in. But yeah, you can see that I switched to a comic font rather than the kind of standard Arial font that I was using before. But yeah. These were all not especially. Did I do
I guess you ripped Playman.
No. This was like some custom bits and pieces. This was to kind of make him playable. There's some additional moves where he has like a vine whip attack and can throw a seed that turns into like a vine spike and things like that, and like hits when you're hit by flame, ice, and electric attacks. This is essentially to kind of make the fused together Battle Network 4.5 and 3 Plant Man to be playable in 6 was the idea, but yeah. So this was the original. I'm not going to go through all of these. There are so fucking many of these. I did like a good 15 or 16 of them. But my first sprite comic called Full Synchro, again without an H because I can't fucking spell, where I'm talking about, and I guess I am very self-aware in that I'm kind of like, ooh, I'm so cool, I'm made of original parts, and everybody's like, you're just made out of a whole bunch of bits and pieces stolen from a whole bunch of sprites at once, and that's the energy. And I go and meet Giga Dagger, which was the other person who had an OC on the Battle Network Game FAQs message boards, and we went on a liberation mission together is the general gist of the plot. We're trying to go and find people to join our team. Oh yes, every 5 comics it would just be a gag comic, and I saw that there was, on those message boards, doing a now for something totally different, like gag, when they were doing like side comics that weren't to do with the plot. And me being younger than them had not seen Monty Python before and did not know that the and now for something totally different is from that. So I thanked the person whose joke I stole rather than the joke that he stole from Monty Python.
That's very funny.
It's all
Also,
recursive.
I was muted like a minute ago, but I did want to say I thought the punchline in the comic of like all of the characters who parts you stole come and be like, hey, and they're all missing the parts that you used. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, these aren't fully devoid of humor. I think it's when I started trying to please other people that the jokes got worse, to be honest with you.
For sure.
And we go to the recruitment agents.
We're gonna get another naked Amy in this.
Gross. What we do have is a female lead who, you know, apparently my character has a crush on for things that did not pan out to the person I am as an adult. I think this is just the thing. Like, there is a female lead, and there has to be romantic tension between the male and the female lead.
Yeah, that is how must drool over her.
That is how a story is told. And is made of candy, and and she hits him because, again, I watched anime at that period of time, and that's what anime jokes about female leads are: awful and bad. We become friends. Mega Man is a character, and we don't like him. We're both trying to go on hero teams because, as I say, Battle Network 5 was new at the time, so fighting the Dark Lloyds was the overarching plot of this kind of thing. And they fight, and they full synchro. And at one point, to finish the battle, I use a chip called Author Power. Because, you know, people, and these were all self-inserts of comic artists in their sprite comics. I think this was the Scuttlist card in that was like the 5-way split. So yeah, these were all people who had sprite comics who put themselves in it because that was the thing. And obviously because you have author power, you have meta control over the narrative you're in. And so I kill Lan because I have an author power. I can do what I want.
Also, overclocked remix in the background.
I thought it would be really cute because they are on the internet, to have the backgrounds be like websites on my desktop and stuff, which makes sense. But also it's in a very wide range of different places over time. And some of them are destroyed. Oh, right. I use author power again, I think was the missing comic, and it essentially world resets. And the surprise is that we hop universe a bunch of times, and it means that I go and do a whole bunch of like different. This is why I recolored that Kirby from before. And then the world is reset and this image is down apparently, but the world has changed where I am now Lands Navi and so on and so forth, like the operators and navies changed or what have you. And it didn't get much further than that. Oh yeah. You know, it was called the Fallout Shelter. Yeah, that was the other sprite comic that had all the Sonic OCs.
A very, I guess, appropriately grimdark name for the time.
But yeah, their rule was that you can't post webcomics that don't contain members of the thing in them. Like, they have to be crossover content. So I was kind of like, well, I'll get around to it. But in the meantime, I'm going to do this to say, hey, you're in the comic, leave me alone. And, you know, everybody got a redesign off the other side of it. And I don't think I got any further than that. Everybody has special powers and stuff like that. There's a snakes on a plane joke because...
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just,
as was the style.
As was the style at the time. God. Is that all of them? How much? I managed to get 32 comics in. Impressive. I did more than I expected. Yeah. It was a lot of these. These were all narrative bits and pieces. I did a whole bunch of kind of like I do not remember whether this was. Oh no, this was definitely derisive rather than affectionate.
Derisive of what?
Just the
over 9,000 joke.
Over 9,000 jokes and kind of like snake, and all your base shit was just definitely a thing that I guess irritated me at the time. Like I was any better? Yeah, and other various bits and pieces. These now move into just kind of individual edits I did at various periods in time. But yeah, that is my spray art, I guess, career. I don't know if there are any pieces in this lineup that were things that were genuinely like good. Nah. Most of this stuff is stuff that is quite pointedly underwhelming, to be honest with you. I did a lot of sprite art back in the day. It was a thing that I enjoyed a lot, even though I wasn't necessarily great at it, and I kind of did manage to improve over time, which is what we can ask for, to be honest.
Yeah, I was impressed by a lot of that, and what I wasn't impressed by, I was amused by.
To be honest, what makes me cringe more than anything else is just the jokes that are clearly like problematic but were fine at the time. that makes me cringe.
I mean, tell me about it. I mean, one of it's there was. I feel like that's inevitable when you are combination of like making media as a young person in a lightly moderated community, like gaming communities at that point. You know, as long as it's like these standards were low. Also, I should say, considering the time, I think it might be worth saving the rest for a future bonus stream.
Yeah, we can go over Battle.net and do some visual novels another time. I rambled a lot about my shit, but hopefully it was entertaining.
I also spent a lot of time taking us through every grain of Nick's.
Yeah, in a way showing all, even though, you know, as that went and it became considerably more self-serving about the drama Grooveman was going through, and I'm like, I can't dwell on that. I'm not going to subject people to teenage navel gazing about the angst, quote unquote, that my character has or whatever. But I'm glad that a lot of this, even though some of them are now obviously lost to time and corrupted and what have you, set in a way that I could show them to other people, I guess. It's funny what we do as kids to fill in our time and connect with others.
Right. I'm glad you still have so much of that. It's you know, there's a lot of stuff that I made way back when that is like, little microfiction that I wrote on the Nintendo Insider forums as you know, fanfic boards that were horrendously unfunny, and would love to be able to look back and laugh at now, and that there's just completely gone is like, aw. So I'm glad you still have so much.
Yeah, you know, people talk about not losing your old art, so you can kind of, you know, come back and see how far you came. And there's definitely stuff that I had done much later that isn't here, maybe sadly, and maybe some of it just again was corrupted files and I can't open them. But yeah, it's just nice to know that my core aesthetic has actually remained quite consistent through the years. The things that I found cool design-wise are still fully true now. And I do like that. I've remained true to myself. Even though we become a different person every 7 years, just by the nature of ourselves dying and regrowing and our perspectives changing and just realizing things about our gender and sexuality and all that shit. And then ultimately the core of a person that I am is still somebody who likes Pokemon and Mega Battle Network real lot and thinks that music's cool, I guess. Has remained the same. The people who knew me then could probably see me now and be like, yeah, it makes sense that you're this person now. Because there are definitely people I know who have just become very, very different people, even in terms of like interest or what they value over time, right? And I guess I'm glad that that hasn't happened to me, that my values and energy have kind of stayed similar.
And no one gets to come at you at the end of the second act to be like, you've changed. I used to look up to you, and now...
You looked up to me when I was a teenager? What the fuck's wrong with you? Yeah. Nice. Okay. And how do you feel about looking back at your shit? How do you feel? Do you feel you've changed?
Man. I mean, I think it's like... Yes, I certainly have a greater appreciation for birds now. But I think it's funny seeing how much of that was like... There was a lot of that game that is, I think, very early things that I like about designing things. Like writing a big ass list of like
spells and abilities. Yes,
spells and abilities. I still like doing that. If I did not, if I was not so grossed out by the like. If I could turn my brain off and just be like, yeah, I'm gonna write up a bunch of fantasy races and not think about, like, I guess, there are ways to do it that aren't gross, but most of the ones that I have seen are either gross or boring, or both. And yeah, no, there's a part that's kind of like, oh man, writing a bunch of funky aliens to be is like. That's fun.
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, to mirror that, and while the thought is in my head, the, I guess, like, owner, the person who founded Shut Up and Sit Down, a YouTube channel about board games, has started a new YouTube channel specifically for tabletop RPGs called Quinn's Quest. I'm gonna
I've heard the name.
Yeah, Quinn's is pretty big in the kind of like tabletop space in general. And his first like review for this channel is doing one called The Wild Sea, and it's like a journeying game that uses Blades in the Dark style rules, and you're all on an airship traveling around in a world that had a post-apocalyptic event that made all the trees overgrow. The pitch being like, what if there was a post-apocalypse and the world got better instead of worse? And it has a full section on the various types of like sapient being that you can be and exist in this world, and he was kind of talking about how it does it in quite an elegant way to kind of avoid the idea of fantasy races and how those are a problem handled in other things when you ascribe like stats to them and stuff like that. And it was generally quite an interesting thing to kind of hear about. I've seen a couple of tabletop RPGs that are trying to explore the idea of being pro-fantasy species, but not engaging with them in a way that's problematic. So maybe I mean, I linked that specific video in chat, but looking up The Wild Sea in general might have some useful insight to you in how that is one way that it could be handled, I guess.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you. I think there is also a degree of this that is like looking at Nyx and going, I think a lot of the things that I work on are still like inspired by other pieces of media. You know, most of what I'm making is not just sprung from something in my life. However, I think there is a fine line between like, oh, I want to do something with this art and, you know, build off of it or change it or whatever, versus just, I like this thing, I'm putting it in my thing. And even if like there was a little like, there wasn't that much that was just, I'm gonna put this thing in uncritically. Like, even the times where I was like, I remember this cool thing from Yu-Gi-Oh! And Metroid, and put them in, would still like change them. There was a lot. It was a lot more referential than it was just like cut and paste from pop culture. At least pop culture that I cared about. I did still feel very comfortable just name dropping MacGyver in there, despite the fact that I'd never seen an episode of the show.
Hey, yeah.
So, yeah, interesting thing. Like, I think it makes a lot of sense that this is something that I specifically made as a child.
Yes, I think it does scan as your energy, and then also reflects a handful of the other early tabletop games that you've done, because I think there's been a grow in nuance in the approach that you've taken in kind of harnessing the energy of a piece of media that you enjoy between Radical Spin and Mystic Lilies, if that makes sense.
Totally. Yeah,
Radical
100%.
Spin, I like in that it is capable of doing more than just the reference material. It is a thing I tend to ask when I see tabletop RPGs that are like, oh, you know, you can do this TV show in this game. And I'm like, cool, what other 3 TV shows can I do using this system, or books or video games or whatever that I could also do in this system? Because I could just watch Buffy. I don't need I don't need a tabletop RPG that does specifically just Buffy, right? And even within Radical Spin, you could technically do other talking animal games. You could do a Jack and Daxter. But it's a game that knows what it's about. But I think Mystic Lilies, even though its kind of influences of pop culture are strong and clear in its work, you could do a Toho, you could do a Bayonetta in it, but there is a pretty wide range of media approaches you could take to reflect. I mean, I did a Kakagurui in it. So... Hey, Bees, you've come as we're ending the stream, but I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah. Bees, I mean, I'll shout this out while you're here. Bees is going to be on Unapologetically Black and Fast, happening in February.
Yeah. And I heard that they extended that, so it's going to be
yes, it was just going to be just going to be 2 days, and they extended it to 4, which is very impressive. And I'm going to be helping to commentate again. We're going to be revisiting Shredder's Revenge, TMNT Shredder's Revenge, the Dotemu more recent beat 'em up that they previously did. Fucking Streets of Rage 4, they know what they're doing. They added a new character. They added in Usagi, who is a samurai rabbit. So interesting to go and play an old game with an entirely new character with new strengths. I'm looking forward to doing it. It's always very funny to be on the Games Done Quick couch as somebody who does not speedrun any games. I will mention this and then I will pass people on. So apparently there are speedruns for the 2 Clubhouse games ones, like the one on DS and the one on Switch. That's like a collection of traditional games. And there are 2 categories that both of them have. There is beating every game and just finishing every game. And for finish percent, you have to strategically throw matches so they end faster. I kind of want to speedrun that. Imagine I finally have found a video game that is about board games, and it's good that I'm bad at them. Yes.
As long as you can be bad at high speed.
You know that I don't think it's something I would practice, but it would be a very fun thing to look up the routing for it and then try it on air once to see how it goes. Anyway, enough of that shit. We're gonna pass y'all on. Captain Hurricane is currently doing some gunplay. There is an event in June. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I'm sure. Fucking P's S&B can do 7 games this time and fill in the slots. He's very good at what he does. He speedruns too many games. But yes, we're gonna go pass things on to Captain Hurricane doing some gunplay. Please do say hello to him. Go wave, scream, clap, and cheer. I have been your androgynous AI game show host from the Futurecaster.
I have been your amazing agender avian co-host, Ravi the Owl.
And this has been the Neoncaster Twitch channel. Have a fabulous week, y'all, and we'll see you soon. Bye.